What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV back here for another review stream for you guys today on the back of that mammoth battering we gave Newcastle last night at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, which was definitely a result that has been coming for the last few weeks. So obviously we're going to get into the usual review stuff, player ratings, match review, 5 takeaways and reacts as well. But before we do that, I think we should get into a Tottenham update just before we get into the review stuff, because there's a few interesting tidbits to talk about today. And what we're going to go into first is Destiny Udogie and his new contract. As Fabrizio Romano broke this morning that Tottenham reached an agreement with Destiny Udogie on a new long-term deal for the Italian fullback. Club sources confirm the deal is in place and sealed. Understand it's all done. Spurs are very happy with Udogie. Salary rise agreed. Destiny scored his first goal for Tottenham last night. Charlie Eccleshare echoes that, and he says Tottenham have reached an agreement for defender Destiny Udogie over improved long-term contract. Udogie's current deal runs until 2027, but is set to be rewarded with a new one that includes a pay rise. People within Tottenham Hotspur felt that Destiny Udogie had developed a lot in the year since signing, that a boy had become a man. Alistair Gold saying Udogie is set to sign a new bumper long-term deal with Spurs. Udogie has made 14 appearances so far this campaign and scored his first Spurs goal during the 4-1 win over Newcastle. And last but not least, Dan Kilpatrick says that Destiny Udogie's pay rise will reflect his status as one of Spurs' most important players and a full Italy international. Udogie is set to sign a new long-term deal just 5 months after arriving at the club. And look, I think it's only right for Udogie to get a new contract amongst probably some others in the Spurs squad right now. But have you ever seen a Spurs player get a new contract after only like 14 games?
Yeah, it's been, I mean, maybe Dele Alli might have, but I can't remember since then. Yeah, probably not. And I think it's brilliant news. He's been one of the top left backs this season in the Premier League, not just for Tottenham. He's obviously had an amazing start to the season for him, off the back of 2 brilliant years in Italy as well for Udinese, where he was super consistent and got I think, did he get left back of the year last year or the year before that?
Yeah.
I think
it might have been 2 years running.
Was it 2 years running? And then I think he's really just taken to the Premier League like a duck to water, and 20 years of age still, so consistent. He's so physical as well. He bullies players who are a lot older than him, and he seems very, I know he can be rash sometimes, but even with that in his game, he seems quite a mature player, and I think he's performing so well, and I think he's only going to get better. And I think the fact that he's got a new contract so early in his Spurs career is testament to the start that he's had under Postecoglou and this season. And I think he's well worth it, 100%. And it's mad that he's already got a really long contract, but we felt the need to up it already.
Yeah, at 20 years of age. Is he 20 or 21? But I mean, I think he's only 20. And for a player of that age to come into the Premier League and take to it like he has done is testament to the coaching staff, testament to the scouting network as well that Spurs have. Fabio Paratici for bringing him in. And look, you're right, he is rash, but I think that at 20 years of age, to show the maturity that he has done, he's only going to get better and better as well. And that kind of rashness in his game can be coached out of him and maybe harnessed in a different way, can't it?
Exactly, and he's still so young, he's still got a lot to learn, and his performance level at the moment is incredibly high for his age and his experience. So I think he's doing exceptionally well, and I think we've got a real gem there.
Yeah, agreed. Let's talk about some potential incomings. Ryan Taylor has been doing an article talking about Tottenham Hotspur and potential centre-backs that we could be tracking in this January transfer window. And the name on the list is Ilya Zabiani of Bournemouth. Tottenham are continuing to track Bournemouth centre-back Ilya Zabiani as part of their bid to land defensive reinforcements for Ange Postecoglou. Zabiani was a player who was earmarked by Fabio Paratici previously as a possible target when he was still as the director of football at the club. If you remember, actually, a couple of years ago, we spoke about him quite a lot. Zabiani, talking about, he's young, but I think he's a player that can be moulded in the image of what the club want to do. A player with high prospects, with a lot of talent and a big future in the game. And I think he's only started this season really to start getting a look in at Bournemouth on a consistent basis. But for what Paratici has done so far in terms of looking at players of the future of the club, I think this guy would be a brilliant acquisition.
He's one that we looked at, didn't we, before Bournemouth signed him? I remember we were heavily linked
that's
with
what
him.
I just said.
Yeah, and he's one that I think a lot of teams around Europe were quite interested in. So I think he's actually I think last season for Bournemouth was a bit mixed. I think he maybe took his time to kind of settle in, but this season he's doing really well, I have to say. I think he's played every minute for Bournemouth, one of very few players in the Premier League to play every minute in the Premier League. I think he's really showing that he's capable of playing at this level as well. I think he's strong, he's tall, and he's quite good at playing out from the back as well, and I think he's one of Iraola's more trusted players. A lot of talk obviously been about Lloyd Kelly, but I think he's actually been, especially recently, a really big standout. So he's still quite young as well. I think definitely he should be of interest to us. Why not?
I do imagine though, like he'll probably come with a much bigger fee than someone like Lloyd Kelly. Though that's the sticking point, won't it? Like, how much will he actually cost? Because they paid fairly big money for him, didn't they? A year or two ago.
It was I think it was like 20 million. Yeah, pretty decent fee. Yeah.
So I mean, if they're paying 20 million, they probably want like to get rid of him this summer or this January. Definitely, they'll probably want at least double that.
Yeah, I think so.
So you're talking about big money. So can you see us splashing that kind of money on him, or do you think that it's more realistic to go for someone like a Lloyd Kelly or a Tosin Adebayo?
I think in January, I don't see us spending that. Maybe in the summer though.
And he's also given us some other names that have been on the shortlist for Tottenham: Morato, Giorgio Scalvini, Lloyd Kelly, Tosin Adebayo, Mark Guehi. For me, I mean, if we are going to get a centre-back in this January, I do see only Tosin Adebayo and Lloyd Kelly being like the most viable options.
Yeah, I mean, those are probably the most cost-effective. They're homegrown as well. It depends how willing we are to spend money this January. There's been a lot of talk about us not being willing to spend money, and we know that recently as well, like we've kind of a lot of the time gone for the cheaper option, and it's kind of worked in our favour. So whether we carry on with that. Also, Tosin has come back for Fulham, to be fair to him, last couple of games and looked really, really good, and I've seen a lot of praise from Fulham fans for him about his performance level last couple of games. So he still hasn't signed that contract, so it'll be interesting to see if they're willing to let him go in January. Maybe he's definitely one to keep an eye on.
Yeah. Tosin playing himself back into form as well after the long injury that he had, scoring a goal at the weekend against West Ham, so he'll fit right in.
Of course.
Another player that we're going to talk about is Calvin Phillips of Manchester City, as Gazzetta dello Sport saying that Tottenham are amongst the clubs interested in signing Calvin Phillips next month. I would be really interested in a deal for Calvin Phillips, but I would only want to bring him in on like a kind of loan until the end of the season. I think if we were to bring him in, he'll be very valuable for the month of January when we do have players going to the AFCON and everything like that. But as a long-term signing, I just can't see this working just because we're so stacked in midfield.
That's the reality, isn't it? We got Bentancur to come back, Basuma and Sarr looking great now. Kulusevski's looking like a midfielder as well. He looks like his future might be there. Lo Celso's still there as well. He's still got Højbjerg on the books. So at the moment, you know, as much we would need someone like a Phillips in January, you can't spend 30 million or whatever it is it will take to sign him just for 1 month and a couple of games, and all of a sudden he might be out of the team. But if it's a 6-month loan, see how he goes, see if he can earn a place in the team, and then in the summer make a decision. I'll definitely be open to that. I think that would be something that would benefit us. I don't see the point in committing to spending big money on him right now, but Pep seems to be quite disinterested in playing him. Basically, he said when he visualises his team, he doesn't really see Calvin Phillips at the moment in the team. So he's definitely a player who's surplus to requirements. So that could open the door to a move for Spurs. If I'm Phillips, though, unless Tottenham really want a loan deal, I just don't see why make the move to Man City's bench to potentially Tottenham's bench. Like, it doesn't make too much sense unless he really believes he's going to earn a starting spot here.
When he's looking at it, like at Man City, he's had no chances whatsoever, right? If he does make the loan move to Spurs, let's say the first few days of the January transfer window, he automatically gets those games in January with the players that we have out. So maybe he backs himself if he gets the chance that he earns that spot, and he'll be able to keep that spot.
I know, but at the end of the day, in a couple of months there's going to be so much competition again, just like there is at City. And he might earn his spot in the first month, but there's no guarantee he'll keep it, especially all the midfielders we have. If I'm him, unless there's no other offers on the table, then yeah, I'd consider Spurs. But if there's other good teams that are after him who's more likely to earn a starting spot, I'd probably go there.
I think it's a club where I see him being a really good fit is probably Newcastle, with Sandro Tonali being out until the end of the season. There's a spot for him there, isn't there? You know, they're playing a 17-year-old kid week in, week out at the moment, albeit he's doing very well, but Calvin Phillips, you know, is a different level at the moment. He's an established player, and you know, where's it? I can't see where it's all gone wrong for Calvin Phillips, because at one point he was England Player of the Year. Yeah, but you know, you got Rodri, but Man City have signed players like Kovacic and all these players, and they've automatically gone ahead of him. Like Pep has not given him one chance whatsoever to stake a claim at all. Even when Rodri's been out suspended and injured and everything, he doesn't get a look in. So I mean, like, where has it all gone wrong for Calvin Phillips? Because just before he joined Man City, he was England Player of the Year. You know, he was one of the first names on the England team sheet in the middle of the park with Declan Rice. So it's a weird one, isn't it? It's a really weird one.
Just hasn't been trusted at all. I think Pep mentioned he was overweight at one point. I don't know if that's still the case, but for some reason, Pep just hasn't fancied him whatsoever. Obviously, whenever Rodri's fit, he ain't getting a look in. But you're right, whenever Rodri hasn't, he's preferred people like John Stones there. Rico Lewis seems to be ahead of him as well. Maybe he's struggling to really adapt to how because Pep really likes specific things in his midfield players. And we've seen before that if you're not doing it, he just won't play you. He'd rather play a youngster with less experience than play players who aren't up to how he wants to play. So maybe Phillips fits into that category at the moment.
So why sign him then? You know what I mean? It's a ridiculous signing.
50 million it was, wasn't it?
Mad. But let's move on and let's talk about Hugo Lloris now, as Ryan Taylor again says that Newcastle will consider a shock swoop for Hugo Lloris next month if Eddie Howe decides he requires extra cover for Nick Pope. Obviously, Nick Pope is out until around April time. Dubravka in goal at the moment, conceded 4 goals at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium last night. But it'll be quite some move for Hugo Lloris to go to Newcastle at this stage because he's been obviously completely by the wayside at Spurs. His last appearance for Spurs was against Newcastle, and that 6-1 defeat got taken off at half time. It'll be a mad turn of events if he ends up joining Newcastle.
And obviously he rejected a move in the summer as well, didn't he? He had the chance to go there, and I think he rejected it. I think Spurs were more willing to do it and Newcastle willing to do it, but it's a move that Hugo didn't want. So whether that's changed, given that he hasn't played any football for 6 months, maybe. If I'm Newcastle, I'm probably like, they can get De Gea right now because he was released in the summer.
Yeah.
So they wouldn't have to wait a month if they wanted a goalkeeper. I do think De Gea last season was better than Lloris. I think he, as much as De Gea is also on the decline, I still think he had probably a bit more to offer than Lloris right now. So if I'm Newcastle, I think that deal probably makes a bit more sense than waiting a month and getting Hugo on loan. But if I'm Hugo, I think just to play some football. You can't go too long at his age of being out of the team when then all of a sudden you start getting forgotten about and people don't consider you anymore. So I think you need to get back on the pitch and show people what you can do if you still believe you've got a lot to give in your career. So I would make the move from him, but look, he rejected it in the summer, so no guarantee that's the deal he wants.
If I'm Newcastle, I'm probably looking at Aaron Ramsdale in January and thinking, you know what, young keeper, British keeper coming through. He's shown good things at Arsenal, but a long way to go. I think Aaron Ramsdale to be the finished article, to be honest. But if I'm Newcastle, I'd probably look at that and go, you know what, slap 30, 40 million on the table and see what we can do.
If Arsenal are willing to accept that bid, then I think that'd be a good move for them.
And last but not least, we're going to talk about Dele Alli. And there's been an interesting, well, not so interesting, but the Times are reporting that Everton have rejected Tottenham Hotspur's proposal to reduce the 10 million fee on Dele Alli to 8 million, but also the number of appearances required. The deal would ease Everton's financial worries and increase the chance of Spurs getting a fee, but Everton have rejected that.
So looks like there's still a standstill, doesn't it? I don't know what they want. They want Tottenham to just waive the fee completely, I'm guessing, or they want Tottenham to just lower the fee without lowering the appearances. Tottenham, I think, have made, I wouldn't say a gesture of goodwill, but they're willing to negotiate. Clearly, they're willing to lower the fee that they're getting, but they also want to know that if he makes those appearances, they will get the money. So I don't think Tottenham are doing anything wrong, but Everton clearly are more interested in saving money than they are in getting Dele Alli back on track at this point, because it looks like Tottenham are willing to make moves here.
Yeah. Those evil bastards, Tottenham. How could they, lower the fee for someone like Dele Alli trying to help Everton, and then, fine, they're trying to kind of look after themselves as well, trying to get a guaranteed fee. But then it brings me back to the Richarlison story as well, like Everton blaming Spurs for them getting docked points and being in this financial issues that they do have for not paying an extra 20 million for Richarlison. I mean, Everton can go do one, to be honest.
I don't know. Why would they reject it if they're planning on playing him? Like, that's just a lower fee. Yes, it's less appearances, but are they trying to say that they want him to play like 19 appearances instead of the 20 that would have got him? You know what I mean? Like, what is their plan here? I don't get it, unless they want a lower fee from Tottenham. But I don't know.
Look, at the end of the day, they're either going to hold back Dele Alli's career for the sake of 10 million, and Dele Alli, it just depends what he's showing in training, but Sean Dyche over the last couple of months has spoken quite highly of him. So I think he's a player that can do well at Everton if he can get his career back on track. You're talking about 3-4 years ago, maybe 5 years ago now, probably one of the hottest prospects in English football. So if you can get him back on side, you've got a top player there. But looking at the Everton side now, where does he fit in there? Because they're all playing really well at the moment.
Good question. Maybe that's what they're thinking. He's not. I mean, but at the end of the day, it's based on his appearances, isn't it? So if he's not going to get in, then he's not going to be worth the money. But if he is going to play, then why not lower the fee?
Yeah, well, we'll have to wait and see how this one materialises. But that is your Tottenham update. Let me know in the comment section your thoughts regarding all those news topics today. But let's get into the game from last night. And I've been waiting for this stream ever since the game had finished yesterday. And what a performance at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium it was last night, in a result that has been coming. It has been coming. We have threatened to do this a couple of times, and it felt like last night, for everything that we've gotten wrong in the West Ham game, in the Villa game, it just all came together last night in the Newcastle game. And we were... it's actually a weird one, because we were clinical to a certain extent, but we also weren't clinical last night, because that's how many chances we actually had. And when you're looking at the Villa game, where we just weren't clinical at all, we were getting good deliveries into the box and having good chances, but we just weren't putting them away. And we should have won that game as easily as we did last night, to be honest, against Aston Villa. We didn't. Against West Ham, it was a completely different set of problems, where we couldn't get the chances and we couldn't get good deliveries in the box. But yesterday, I felt like we were at our complete best, and I think it's the best we've played all season. It was absolutely undeniable what a performance that was yesterday. Every player on that football pitch put in an absolute effort, and it felt like the players had a message to send out, and Ange Postecoglou as well had a message to send out to the Premier League after everything that we had been through over the last 4 or 5 games, 4 losses and a draw. Yeah, the draw came at the Etihad, but it felt like that was a message-sending performance.
Yeah, there was definitely new energy in that performance for sure. Spurs were super aggressive in this one, making lots of tackles. I think I was looking at the stats as our most tackles we made in any game this season as well. So I think that stat shows the kind of, and the new energy. I think Ange was talking about it in his press conference after the game, that we were able to make a couple of changes, just bring that new energy to the team, and that made a big difference. Eddie Howe's team, all those 10 outfield players have played the last 5 games and started the last 5 games. They just seem to be running on empty, and I think that is definitely you can see they were very leggy in this game. Albeit, I did think they started quite well in the game. Bruno Guimaraes has that shot on the edge of the box, and then they got him behind. Gordon's on the left hand side, he puts a ball across the face of goal, and Isaac looks like he's about to tap it in, but a brilliant intervention from Davis, a little touch prevents it. And so at that point you're thinking, okay, Newcastle started this well, but I think once Spurs took control of the game, there was no looking back really, and we were absolutely phenomenal. And putting Son back on the left-hand side was definitely was an inspired choice from Ange Postecoglou, putting Richarlison back in the centre, and he looked as sharp as he's ever looked in a Tottenham shirt yesterday. Absolutely fantastic, and Son looked extremely sharp on that left-hand side. It's fair to say Trippier has had better games. He looks definitely out on his feet right now. I think off the back of what was a terrible game against Everton for him, made a couple of mistakes leading to Everton's goals, and he pretty much carried on that form into this game. In the first half, he was given the runaround by Son in that first half, but whenever we got the ball out to Son, he was looking sharp, he was looking fast, he was looking to take Trippier on, and obviously he beat him a couple of times, pulled it back once for Udogie and the next one for Richarlison. I think that second goal was the crucial moment, because we had taken the lead in the past 5 games and yet failed to win. And after taking the lead in this one, everyone was obviously delighted, but there's still that bit of apprehension, okay, we've taken the lead for the 6th time in the row, but are we going to finally actually put this game to bed? And are we going to... Is this going to be a different game, or is it going to be the same as the other games where we let the opposition back into it? And I think once we got that second goal, it really just calmed. It really was a big sigh of relief with that moment.
It really was. Everyone was saying the same thing after the celebration died down for that first goal. We need that second. Yeah. We need that second. We need that second. Then at half time, I was chatting to a few people, and they were just saying, "We need that third. We need that third." There was just so much anxiety within the fan base just because of what we have gone through over the last 4 or 5 games, And we've played well in the majority of those games. We just haven't got over the line. And when you're looking at the start of that game, and especially the game against West Ham as well, when Brennan Johnson was on that left, he was in that position so many times that Sonny was in yesterday, but he just couldn't find the right ball to make the killer movement. And I felt like it was a bit similar as well in the opening stages of the game against Newcastle, back on that right hand side. Brennan Johnson saw a lot of the ball on that right hand side, but he couldn't find that killer ball. There was one to Sarr where maybe Sarr should have done a bit better, but apart from that, I thought the delivery from Brennan Johnson in the early stages of the game was fairly poor. And then when Sonny does what he does in that first moment, just completely attacking Trippier down that left, taking on that leadership role to example, showing the team how to do it, completely sold Trippier down the river, gets the ball in 1-0. A few minutes later, or 10 minutes later, he does a similar thing, completely does Trippier once again, and finds the right pass for Richarlison for the second goal. I felt like after that, in the second half, Brennan Johnson just seemed to come into his own a little bit more, and you really saw him start to take on his man, beat his man, and get good deliveries in the box. And once again, Heung-min Son showing that leadership quality and leading by example on that football pitch yesterday.
It's exactly what Ange pointed out as well. Last game, he said he asked for more conviction, and he felt Son really encapsulated that yesterday. He was the one showing quality, and everyone kind of was inspired by that. And I thought Johnson was giving Livramento a torrid time down that right hand side. Every time he got the ball, especially after we went 1-0 up, he was just taking him on, getting on the outside. Livramento couldn't live with him. He was flicking it over his head. He was taking him on the outside. Obviously second half he went on the inside and nearly scored as well, but I thought he was whipping crosses across the face of goal for fun, and he was really giving Livramento a tough ride, and that's what Johnson can do on the right hand side. He just looks so much more comfortable when he's on that side, when he's on his stronger side. I feel like he's not that type of winger that I can see who when he's on that left hand side, you need a particular skill set. You need to be a bit flexible. I feel like he likes to run in straight lines. He reminds me just a bit of Aaron Lennon a bit when he's on that side. Just looks like when he's on that right side, he's got so much pace to burn. When he's on the left-hand side, his left foot isn't particularly strong. He doesn't have the best final ball anyway. When he cuts inside and when he's shooting across the face of goal, and he doesn't seem to have that technique to curl it into the far corner and stuff like that you need when you're playing on the left. So I feel like on the right-hand side, he's much better running in behind as well. He looks like a lot more at home, and I think that was definitely a consequence of that. And yeah, I think that front three looked a lot more electric with those three in those positions than we've seen. So I think Ange getting that dynamic from the start was a brilliant call from him, and I think it worked an absolute treat. And that first half was pure domination. Apart from the opening 5 minutes or so when Newcastle could have scored, it was literally just one-way traffic for that whole first half. The midfield especially Basuma, with Sarr next to him, looking like his old self. Sarr adding that dynamic into the midfield, that energy he brings. Kulusevski playing in that number 10 role on the left-hand side. I thought he was a breath of fresh air yet again in that role. And Pedro Porro from right back being, in build-up, just being absolutely exceptional. He is, I think, not just our best player build-up. He might be one of the best players in the Premier League when he's progressing the ball from that position. He always seems to find a creative pass and a creative solution from that position. I've never seen, apart from maybe Trent, I don't know a right back, or Trippier potentially, but I don't know many right backs in the Premier League who are as good as him in those positions. He just always finds quality passes in that position and finds an opening, and it really just helps open up the space and open up the opposition. And I think it was another classic example of that yesterday.
Yeah, I can't agree more. And that ball for Richarlison was absolutely beautiful at the start of that second half. But I want to go back to Pape Matar Sarr, because I thought from start to finish when he was on the pitch, he was absolutely brilliant. Yes, he should have scored in the first 10 minutes of the game, but I just felt like he enabled Basuma, and I think Basuma just looks so much more comfortable on that pitch when he's got Sarr next to him. The energy that Sarr has, there was a moment in the corner by the south stand where he had about 2 men on him, and just he does this little trick and gets past 2 of them or 3 of them it might have been, and he's just so good. And how many turnovers in midfield did he do to help us set us on our way and on our attack? I mean, he does such an underrated job for the team, and we've missed him so much in these last few games. And I think yesterday was so much evidence of that.
Yeah, 100%. And it was really great to have him back. And he looked like his old self. He looked a lot sharper. He was giving that energy. And I think, as you say, it really helped enable not just Basuma and Kulusevski in that midfield as well, really helped facilitate them. And they looked more as confident as they've ever looked this season as well. And I think him himself, Sarr, he was put in one of those performances where he was just everywhere. He was getting up the pitch. He should have scored. He was defending. He was just kind of a jack of all trades yesterday. I thought it was a phenomenal performance from Pape Matar Sarr. I think you can literally point at every player on that pitch and say they had an exceptional game. I was on Twitter after the game, and I've never seen so many highlight comps with so many different players, but I think it just goes to show the level of performance yesterday was so high from everyone, and it was a delight to see. And yeah, going to that second half, we were 2-0 up, and as you said, we wanted that third goal. Newcastle did come out a bit stronger in that second half, but as soon as we got that third goal, we just took complete control of that game. And Richarlison got his brace, got his second with maybe it wasn't his best first touch, but a really nice finish for the second, for his third goal.
Some of the first touches he's shown in the Spurs shirt, probably one of his better ones.
Yeah, definitely one of his better ones. At least he kept possession, and obviously got the third. And then that last half an hour was just, it was like party time. Everyone was bringing out the tricks. It was just let's see who can create the best chance, and let's score some nice goals. We obviously didn't score until the penalty, but we were just creating chance after chance. Johnson hitting the post. Son had that volley across the face of goal. Skip had a one-on-one. Kulusevski went into his own, just creating chance after chance. It was like party time that last half an hour, and it was just a joy to watch. And what I loved about it as well is, at 3-0, maybe last season, or the season before, if we were in that position under Conte, we probably would have just sat back, played it around the back for half an hour, and it would have been boring to watch. But under this manager, we just keep going forward, we keep wanting to create chances, we keep wanting to attack, and it's just such a joy to watch. And some of the football again was mesmerising, and we were just creating chances at will, it seemed at times. And the only disappointment was that it was only 4 at the end of the day, because the chances we created, it definitely should have been more than that. And I think Newcastle had no answer. They looked on their feet. They looked just so leggy after that third goal. And Spurs were just completely on top. And I know Newcastle, I know they're tired, and I know they got injury problems themselves, but it's no mean feat completely taking them to the sword like we did yesterday. And it was again such a good team. It was such a joy to watch yesterday. It was watching everyone play well in their element and just completely ripping them to shreds.
Yeah, look, we talk about injuries all the time, that Spurs are suffering massively with injuries, Newcastle are suffering massively with injuries. But don't forget, this Newcastle team have just beaten, Man United are probably not the team that they have been, but they've beaten Arsenal as well in the last month at St James's Park. Yes, they are maybe a different kettle of fish at St James's Park than they are away from home. But when you're looking at revenge from last year for the 6-1, that's the only regret for me, that we didn't go and score that 5, 6, 7, 8, because we had enough chances to do that. We literally could have scored 8 or 9 goals yesterday. That's how good and how creative and how many chances that we did have. We had like a 4 XG yesterday in the game.
Yeah,
3.99 or whatever it was. I mean, every single player had fire in their bellies yesterday. You could see they really wanted it, and the energy levels just didn't go down throughout the whole game. And obviously Son goes bursting through one-on-one with Dubravka. Dubravka takes him down, and finally we get our first penalty of the whole season. It's been coming for so long, that penalty, and we all had the conversations, coming into the season, coming into the game, who's going to be our penalty taker? But who else is it going to be? It's going to be Heung-min Son, without Maddison especially, and I thought he dispatched that penalty Harry Kane-esque.
Yeah, he said after the game, the interview asked him, was there a question who was going to take the penalty when you got it? And he said, should we put Harry back? But yeah, it was Harry Kane. It was a typical Harry Kane finish, bottom left, right into the corner, a lot of power. I was watching, and Bruno Guimaraes was behind Son. He was actually pointing to that corner. He's saying, he's going to go that way. He was pointing. Didn't matter though. Didn't matter that he knew, and obviously the keeper went the right way as well. Didn't matter. The penalty was that clinical. And I thought Son, he obviously was brilliant on the left, but when he went back in the centre, he was also he was causing him a lot of problems. There was that one moment as well. He jinked past Lascelles, goes on the outside and has a shot that was just a whisker past the post as well. Yeah. So going to show that off the left in the first half, he was brilliant. He goes back in the centre for the last 20 minutes or so, and was causing them as many problems as well. So I just think he's obviously just a fan. We know he's a world-class player, but there's obviously this conversation, should he be on the left, should he be in the centre? But he's showing yesterday he can do both just as well, and it's absolutely brilliant. Yeah,
and I think now that goal brings him into like the top 15 or top, is it 15 or 25 top players of Premier League all time?
Oh, all time it's 23, I believe.
23, so I mean, unbelievable.
And he's now overtaken
a player that's been at left wing.
Yeah, and he's now Tottenham's all-time assister as well.
That's just crazy. Taking over from Christian Eriksen is just an unbelievable achievement for Heung-min Son. That's just who he is and what he is. I mean, he epitomises what Spurs are about at the moment, and he's leading this team better than I've ever seen anyone lead this team for a very long, well, definitely in my lifetime. I've never seen anyone lead a team as a captain as well as he is doing right now. But like I said about before, and you said, how many standout performers they were yesterday. I saw someone put on social media yesterday, who was your man in the match yesterday? And usually you see like one resounding answer. I think I probably saw every name on the starting lineup in the answers yesterday, apart from maybe Vicario, because he had hardly anything to do pretty much for the whole game, and maybe Romero. I thought Ben Davies was absolutely brilliant yesterday, stepping in for Van de Ven once again. And since Van de Ven's got injured, he has been brilliant, hasn't he? Let's be honest.
I have to say, he's barely put a foot wrong. I think against against Villa, he had a few struggles. But you got to remember, in a lot of these games, he's been partnered with Emerson, and he's been like the senior centre back. And I have to say, he's been aggressive. He's been really defensively very, very strong. He had moments where he's getting in front of Haaland and bullying him and out muscling him. And I think on the ball, he's always been a pretty good passer as well. And I think he really helps us progress the ball forward. I think he's been a really able deputy for Van de Ven. Obviously, he doesn't give you everything that Van de Ven gives you in terms of the stature and that recovery pace, but in terms of filling in and doing a job, I think he's doing a really good job. And since he's been next to Romero as well, I think he's even taken his game up a bit as well. Because I think next to Emerson, it's been very difficult. But and also next to Dyer, I thought in that Wolves game he was near faultless as well. I think he's been really good, to be fair, and I doubted whether he could play in a back two, with his stature and his frame up against physical forwards. But I think I think he's done a fantastic job. And I think yesterday, if he doesn't make that challenge, we go 1-0 down. It's probably a different game as well. So I have to say he's done phenomenally well, and I think he deserves his props.
Yeah, definitely aggressive, progressive. Two players I thought last night had their best performances in the Spurs shirt. Brennan Johnson, who we've spoken about, and obviously Richarlison. After that surgery, he comes back. Ange mentioned it in the post-match. He's looking much more free. His movement is a lot more freer. And I think that's exactly what it was on the pitch yesterday. He was aggressive. He was putting himself about. His link-up play, I thought, was a lot better as well. Got 2 goals on the night. First one, it was probably harder to miss than score. But the second one, as you mentioned, a bit of a heavy touch, but he recovers from that touch and slots it past Dubravka.
Yeah, and I just thought in general, he just looks so much freer in his movement. But in the first part of the season, I'm not going to lie, it was very hard to watch him. He was, the ball was being fired into him. He couldn't control it. He couldn't play a simple pass. When he's trying to take someone on, he just seems weak, and it just seems very, very stodgy. And he seems to be basically losing the ball whenever he got it, essentially. But if the signs of yesterday is that if he's free of these injuries and we're finally going to see the real Richarlison, then maybe this is the start of him redeeming himself, because he just looked so much sharper. His movement looked so much more natural. He was beating players. He was, as you say, he was the little layoffs, which I've been praising Son for a lot of this season. He was able to pull off yesterday. He was getting in those positions. His finishing was pretty good for the 2 finishes as well. And he just seemed so much more comfortable on the pitch than he had been the whole season, or maybe in his entire time as a Spurs shirt. Also, his first 2 goals for Spurs with his feet as well.
Isn't that an insane stat? Isn't that an insane stat? You sign a guy for 60 million, a striker, a left winger, who's at the season before pretty much saved Everton single-handedly with goals with his feet and his head, to be fair. He comes in, he's been here a season and a half.
Yeah.
And this is the first 2 goals with his feet in a Spurs shirt. How nuts is that?
Bonkers, because you got to remember the 2 goals against Marseille, both headers.
Yeah.
The goal at Anfield was a header. Sheffield United was a header. Fulham was a header, and that's it, isn't it? That's all the goals he scored. So it's pretty mental. All of his goals have been from there, and that's why everyone says, his biggest asset is his headings. That's all we've seen. But look, for Everton, he did score a lot of goals with his feet, and for Watford as well. So let's hope. Look, he's got that monkey off his back now. He's finally put it in with his foot, playing football. So hopefully he can carry on and really maybe hit a rich vein of form. And I'm so happy for him that he looked like his old self yesterday. He looked like the player from Everton finally for the first time, really, ever since he's come here. So Sonny yesterday said he feels like he's better in the box than he is. So maybe we've finally got a striker who has a bit of presence again, and maybe that's how we're going to be playing for the next few weeks or so. But I think it's what the most positive thing is. It just gives us options, for maybe some games you want to have Sonny up front, maybe some games like yesterday you want to have Sonny on the left, and I just think the more unpredictable you make the team, the better. And I think having a fully fit Richarlison playing in his best position, playing like that, is only going to benefit the team. Yeah, absolutely spot on. Again, I want to earmark Pedro Porro and Destiny Udogie yesterday. I thought both of them were absolutely stellar. Udogie, since that kind of red card, hasn't been maybe the player he was before the red card, but I thought yesterday he was back at it, back to his best. Obviously getting that goal in the first half to set us on our way, and I think it was 25 minutes in or something like that. And it's mad, he started the move for that goal as well. He did start the move, yeah, you're completely right. And it wasn't just that goal though, was it? The whole day he was a thorn in Newcastle's side, runs down that centre of the park, just those straight runs, asking questions of Newcastle, taking men with him all the time. I thought Udogie was brilliant. And Pedro Porro, I can't keep going on about this guy. This guy has been, I'll say it again, once again, our best performer, our most consistent performer all season, maybe bar Heung-min Son, maybe even on a level with Heung-min Son. Pedro, his ball playing ability, his chance creation, his defending ability as well, it's just going up and up every single game. He seems to be getting better week on week. And what I loved about Porro's performance is, I think for a lot of the season, obviously we know he's got amazing quality on the ball, but I think a lot of the season he's kind of been tightening up defensively, and I feel like he's been concentrating on that, and I think he's been doing a great job, because I think defensively he's been pretty faultless for a lot of games this season. But I think maybe people are, I think you could maybe say, not to say he hasn't been good offensively, but maybe he's lost a bit kind of on the ball, maybe not making enough like crosses and shots and all that kind of stuff. But I thought yesterday he had the best of both worlds. I thought he was spot on defensively, apart from that one moment Gordon got him behind early on. Gordon had a very quiet game. He completely pocketed him. And then on the ball, I think he made 4 key passes or 3 key passes, which was, one of the most on the pitch. He had 4 shots on goal as well, forced Dubravka into a number of saves. Got an assist for Richarlison's 3rd goal. Had a brilliant cross for for Romero heading off the line early on. He played a brilliant through ball for Sonny's penalty as well. He was just so creative and he had so much quality. And it was a delight to watch. When he's in that kind of form, he's so enjoyable to watch. And there aren't many right backs who are better than him when he's in that kind of form. And I think he might be. I think maybe Spurs fans realise how good he is. But in terms of like recognition from Premier League fans or from other people who are pundits and stuff, I think he might be one of the most underrated players in the Premier League, in my opinion, because he doesn't get anywhere near the props he deserves. People still probably. I feel like people still tarnish him with that debut against Leicester. I feel like that's stuck with a lot of people who don't watch him week in, week out about how good he is. Because I'm watching it and I'm like, this guy is one of the best right backs in the league. And I don't see a counter to that. And just to touch on Udogie, it's amazing how when you pass the ball into him and he has like players up his back and like trying to win the ball of him, it's like Dembele-esque how he keeps onto it and how strong he is. People can't get the ball off him. It's incredible to watch.
And he's still a kid.
And that first goal, he gets the ball and there's a player on his left-hand side. He just walks around him and passes it out wide to Son and follows it into the box. But he does that so often. It's so and it just gives us another avenue to progress the ball, and he's so good in build-up as well. I don't think he's as creative in his passing as Porro, but what he does do is he just out-muscles anyone who gets near him, and he just can move them aside and progress the ball that way. And that's why he's like Dembele-esque when he's on the ball and keeping the ball, because he's just so strong you can't get the ball off him.
And it gives us so much solidity in the middle of the park, in the central midfield, because they're playing pretty much as central midfielders, Pedro Porro and Destiny Udogie, with their average positions where they are, and it just frees up our attacking players like Dejan Kulusevski. Reaped the benefits of that massively yesterday, right? But Destiny Udogie, he needed a performance like that, in my opinion, after what he did against West Ham with that lazy, silly back pass for the goal that they did score. But I had no doubts in my mind that Destiny was going to get back to his best, and he definitely did that yesterday. Decky, what a performance yesterday. That midfield was insane. That midfield was insane yesterday, from Bissouma to Sarr to Dejan Kulusevski. I mean, he is just so much better in the middle of the park. He just is, and he frustrates me a lot, especially did it against West Ham when he was on the right-hand side, cutting me in on his left. But when he's in the middle of the park, he's just unplayable. They just don't know how to deal with him. How many chances did he create yesterday alone? I mean, they just cannot get the ball off him. They cannot live with him. And he's just insane. He's just a different animal. He's a different beast when he's in that middle of the park. And I just don't want to see him out on that right-hand side anymore. I just want him to stay in that position. But when we do get our players all back after the AFCON and everything like that, and Maddison starts coming back, and just got some serious selection headaches.
To be fair, he actually ended the game on the left-hand side. Did he actually look quite good in that as well?
Yeah.
He created a few chances from that left-hand side. So I think he can still do a good job out wide. But yeah, he was absolutely brilliant in the centre. And he's so hard to deal with. He's so strong. And he breaks into the space. He's so hard to catch as well. It seems as though midfielders don't know how to deal with him because of his time out wide. He knows how to take someone on. He knows how to exploit space. But he's so strong that if midfielders don't compete with him physically, he's just going to get to that space, and we know when he's given time and space he can really create a chance, and he's got a good shot on him on his left or right foot, and it gives him so many more options when he's in the centre of who to pass to and where to go and where the space is. I thought it was another exceptional performance from Kulusevski, and I couldn't be happy with him.
Yeah, let's talk about the potential red card for Romero. I did think it was a red card. I know there's a lot of conversations talking about it at the moment. I mean, it was off the ground, it was studs up in the ankle, and the ball had gone like 10 years beforehand. So it was late, it was reckless, and it was dangerous. And there's just no need for that for Romero at that point in the game. The game's won. we just can't afford any suspensions for Romero at the moment, and I thought it was very silly to do that at that point in the game.
I agree with the second part. It was reckless and dangerous because of how Wilson's ankle was on the floor. I don't think it was high. I think he wasn't off the ground that much. I think it was late. I think if Wilson's angle, if Wilson wasn't at that angle, I don't think the challenge looks anywhere near as bad as it did because of how Wilson was kind of standing. It was a late challenge. He did. I think it was a genuine attempt to get the ball, but he was just late to it. I think the challenge was made to look worse because of the angle of Wilson's ankle and how it contacted him. I don't think it was a high challenge, and I think he's lucky because it could have been very bad for Wilson. But I think on another day it doesn't get as much airtime, this challenge, just because I don't think it was as bad as people are making it. I think the still images definitely make it look worse. I've seen it again a few times. I think it's a stupid challenge. It's a bad challenge. I don't think it's one of these. Well, I'm saying people say it's a clear red card and all that. I don't think it is. I don't think it's clear and obvious. I think a yellow. It's probably a dark yellow, I would say. He's lucky boy because it's not a good challenge, but I don't think it's a clear red card.
It's one of those where if he's given a red, VAR ain't overturning that.
He can't have any complaints because it's just a stupid challenge.
Yeah. So, I mean, but why do that? I mean, I know Romero, we all know what Romero's like, yeah, but after what he's just been through, that red card against Chelsea, missing the 3 games and how pivotal it was to us, to go and do that when the game's already won, it's just silly. There's just no point to it.
And he was having a great game as well.
He was having a great game, and I think that was the only down mark in his game, to be honest. And if he does get sent off and gets 3-game ban...
Would have been 4-game ban.
Well, 4-game ban, you know what I mean? Like, how detrimental to us would that have been?
Yeah, after just getting him back, it would have been horrendous. And he's been brilliant, I think, since he's come back. It's been really good to have him back, so we can't afford to lose him again. So let's just hope he doesn't have more of those moments anytime soon.
Yeah, and I just want to finish off before we end the match review of that shithousery from Vicario yesterday. I thought that was brilliant. I don't know what Wilson was saying to him, but Wilson seemed very upset about this shithousery. You know, he runs past Wilson with his tongue out and laughing in his face. I mean, do you like to see that? What do you make out of that?
I don't know what it was all about. Vicario claims that after the game he was saying that Wilson lacked respect for him. So I don't know what the whole story is behind it, but if Wilson did something, then I'm all for the Vicario shithousery. When if it's unprompted and if it was just for no reason, then it's a bit weird. But I don't mind it. I don't mind if he's running up the opposition, especially if they're being disrespectful. A lot of people saying it's, you know, because of how Wilson spoke about Richarlison or something like that in his podcast, all that kind of stuff. If that's got anything to do with it, then I'm all for it.
Well, if that's the case, then God help Matty Cash when we go to Villa Park then,
right.
in a couple of months' time. But look, that is a match review, an absolutely astonishing performance from Tottenham Hotspur at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium last night in a 4-1 victory, which got Spurs firmly back on track. But let's move on to the player ratings, and we're going to start off with Vicario. 7s all round for Big Vic. Venom, I thought he did everything that came his way to a good standard. I thought his kicking was a bit off yesterday. There was about, I thought there was about 3 or 4 times where he just kicked it out of play for no reason, pretty much. But apart from that, I thought everything he did to it was a really good standard. Look, there was moments where his kicking was on point, but there was about 3 or 4 moments where he just played it out of play needlessly.
I was going to praise his kicking. I thought his kicking was good. Yeah, there were a couple of occasions played out of play, but I think by and large it was actually pretty good. And when he got it right, he actually allowed us to progress up the pitch.
I agree with that.
And there was actually one really good throw. I remember he threw it all the way to the halfway line for Udogie, which put us on an attack. In terms of saves, I mean, I seem to be saying it every week. I mean, he didn't make too many. He didn't have to.
And it's mad to say that, isn't it, with the defensive problems that we're going through at the moment. It's just mad.
Like, I can't think of too many saves he had to make yesterday. The chances Newcastle missed were all used mostly off target. So in terms of actual goalkeeping, fairly quiet day on that front. Obviously the save he made where he did a bit of shithousery was a fairly simple save, that one. So pretty comfortable day on that front for Vicario.
Yeah. Let's move on to the next player we're going to talk about is Pedro Porro. 9s all round for Pedro. Another unbelievable display from Pedro Porro yesterday. Seems to be getting better and better. Yet another assist to his numbers with a lovely ball over the top for Richarlison. And the way he celebrated is it running over to Big Ange, giving him a big hug as well. I thought that was brilliant. But no, it wasn't just that assist. It was everything. The way he was inverting into the middle to create another option. He's always looking to provide an assist and create, and defensively as well. I thought he was absolutely on point. I don't think anything got past him apart from that moment you spoke about before when Anthony Gordon got on behind in the first 5 minutes of the game. But apart from that, he was stellar.
It's an astonishing performance, and he's one of the better right backs on form in the league on this form. I mean, the amount of chances he created, the chance for the assist for Richarlison was an absolute delight. And I mean, that was Trent-esque, I have to say, that pass, unbelievable. Brilliant outswinging corner for Romero's header, which was off the line. A brilliant through ball for Son's penalty as well. Really pinpoint, allowing Son to take it in stride. His passing and his build-up is absolutely spot on, but it's not just spot on, it actually allows us to open up the space and create chances and really take it to the opposition. When he's on the ball, you just feel like, and also he played that switcher play for the second goal as well. I know Trippier gets a head on it, but it's a really a decent switcher play as well. I mean, you always feel like something's going to happen when he gets the ball. That's how creative his passing is, and that's how much quality he has. And he's gone from this player who last season maybe you felt like he's just a player who gets out wide and who's got a good cross on him. And now he's really showing his quality in the centre of the pitch and almost like a midfielder, how he shows his quality. And I think he's doing an astonishing job. Defensively, he's really sharpened up as well. I think he's just he's playing magnificently in the moment.
Yeah, he really is. And the passion he shows as well is so good to watch. I mean, every time he does one of those challenges or that assist, the way he celebrates it, you can see how much it means to him. And I'm just loving watching him play week in, week out. For me, look, I think like when we talk about this, like Son has been so good, so it's hard to not put Son as like the best player in the team so far. So I think everything has got a caveat. It's like under Son, but I think Pedro Porro has been our best player this season.
Has he scored yet this season? I think he's due a 25-yard bullet into the You watch.
He has so many shots as well.
And he could have scored one yesterday. Yeah. I reckon the next few weeks he's going to put one in the top.
I agree. But let's move on to Cuti Romero. 8s all round for Cuti. I mean, he was so dominant yesterday, winning all his duels is on the floor and aerially. The way he steps into the midfield and just constantly wins the ball back for us. Nearly scored as well in the first half where Pedro Porro put in that corner and it was just saved off the line, so he could have got his second goal in the space of a week. The only thing that kind of marred his performance was that challenge where he got the booking. It was just needless, didn't need to make it. The game was won, and on another day that could have been a sending off and it would have been a 4-game ban, and we all would have been sitting here saying, "Oh, you're an idiot, Romero. Why have you done that?" Like, it's just something that we don't need at this moment in time.
Yeah, that definitely would have been a block, but he just brings so much calmness to the back line. I feel like when he's there, he's just so dominant, and when he's on the ball, he has this just amazing ability to have composure in our build-up play. Always pick the right pass. I love his forays forward when he's not scared to go into the opposition half and build like a midfielder and just run at the opposition and you know, always picks a really good pass as well. I think Isaac was so quiet. It must have been one of his quietest performances of the season. Isaac, he just couldn't get involved with the game because Romero just had them. And I think past 2 games, I think he's been brilliant. Romero, I think he's really kept the opposition attacks really quiet, and he was just unlucky. Last game we made some errors that wasn't really his fault, but this game I thought he was near faultless apart from that late challenge which was a bit reckless. But apart from that, I thought it was another fantastic display and shows why for me he's one of the top centre-backs in the league.
Yeah, and a player that was faultless yesterday in my opinion was Ben Davies. 8s all round for Benny. Another unbelievable display, stepping in for Mickey van der Ven admirably well. Saved almost a certain goal, wasn't it, with that sliding tackle. I thought it was an unbelievable sliding tackle from Ben Davies. He's aggressive. He's also very underrated in being progressive on the ball as well. I thought the way he gets forward and helps us start attacks is absolutely unbelievable, and a player who, you know, not many fans would have cared if we put him by the wayside in the summer and sold him. I think he's stepping in and he's doing an unbelievable job for the team, and I think we have said it a number of times on this channel. As much as he's not good enough maybe to be a Mickey van der Ven, and we don't want him starting week in, week out for us. I think he's just a great option for us to have in the squad. Never complains, always puts in a steady performance, and people like to lump him in there with the Eric Dyers of this world and stuff like that, but I think that's incredibly unfair to him.
Yeah, I thought he had another top display, and I think he has performed admirably well since stepping in for Van der Ven, and I can't really ask too much more of him. I think for his performance level, I think he's performing as good as he can and as he ever has, really, since he's come into a Spurs shirt. And I agree with you. I think his passing's very underrated. He's quite good at playing out from the back. I think defensively he's very aggressive and hasn't made many mistakes. I do think there are times where it wasn't yesterday, but there are times in general where, you know, he can get beaten and he's not the quickest, he's not the strongest, he's not the tallest, and those things can be exploited. But I thought yesterday he was faultless. I think, again, Isaac barely had a kick. I thought he made that crucial interception to stop Newcastle scoring, and that made a big difference in terms of the final result. And I thought, again, he's developing a good partnership with Romero in terms of just both players talking to each other. They seem a lot more comfortable when there's a senior centre-back with him as well. I just thought he put a really, really good display. I'm very happy for him.
Yeah, let's move on to Destiny Udogie. 9s all round for Destiny. Another unbelievable display from him. And if you cast your mind back to the game against Aston Villa, where he goes bearing down on goal in the first few minutes of the game and he rifles it over the bar and we go on to lose the game. This was the complete polar opposite. He gets that goal in the first 25 minutes to set us on our way. Great way to start the play as well. He wins the ball in the middle of the park, plays it to Heung-min Son, darts into the box, and it's an easy finish for Destiny. But that's not the only good things he did throughout the game. I thought he was so aggressive, winning all his duels, being such a presence for us in the middle of the park as well, darting forward and making those just like straight line runs to cause so many problems down the Newcastle midfield and Newcastle backline. He just gives Newcastle a different thing to think about every single time. And you're looking at the team and Newcastle must be fearing their life. They've just got the whole Spurs team just like running towards them. They just don't know what to do with themselves. And that is Ange Ball in a nutshell, isn't it?
100%. Like being unpredictable, have different avenues of attack, not knowing where you're going. And I think Udogie just encapsulates that perfectly with that goal he scored, and a brilliant run. And obviously he started it as well. And as I say, his ball retention is Moussa Dembele-esque sometimes, with his strength and how he holds people off and how he's able to carry the ball forward. And him and Porro just do things do ball progression in a different way. Porro uses passing ability, Udogie uses strength and power to carry the ball up the pitch, and he makes them so hard to deal with. And when he's getting in between the lines and picking the ball up, he's been like another midfielder. He's absolutely brilliant to see, and I thought he was definitely back to his best yesterday. Defensively, absolutely had Almiron in his pocket. Almiron had absolutely nothing yesterday whenever he was going forward and going up the pitch. Obviously he got his goal and was a big part of our attack, and another top display from Udogie, and well worth the new contract.
Yeah, absolutely. So congratulations on Destiny on that new contract. Let's go on to Yves Bissouma. 8s all round for Bis, and he is back to his best. Look, I think he has had better performances than he had yesterday, but still, from the performances that he has put in since that red card, this is the best of the lot by a long way. So it was great to see Bissouma a lot better than he has been in recent weeks. I mean, he had that energy level about him. He had that air of unpredictability about him as well. But I think where he earned his money yesterday were his defensive capabilities, the way he just kept winning the ball back time and time again. 10 of his 14 duels he won yesterday. That is an unbelievable number from Bissouma, and he showed how much of a good defensive midfielder he can be in the Premier League yesterday. I thought he dominated that midfield, helped by Papa Matar Sarr, I got to say, but I think Bissouma was incredible yesterday. Yeah,
that was a lot more like it from Bissouma, looking so confident, so dominant. There was a period where I realised, okay, he's back to his best in that second half, where he's being confronted by two Newcastle midfielders and he just jinks past both of them and opens up the space. I'm like, okay, Bissouma's back. It was absolutely brilliant. He made 8 tackles on the day, which was by far, I think, was more than double anyone else on the pitch as well. So defensively, so dominant, but going forward as well, just looked like his old self. Was trying things, was being confident on the ball, was opening up the space like he has been in previous weeks. And I'm just delighted to see that old Bissouma back, because he definitely didn't look like his old self for the past few weeks. But I thought yesterday, definitely back to his best. So fantastic to see.
Let's move on to Pape Matar Sarr. Sim gives him an 8. I gave him a 9. And I was so impressed with Pape yesterday. And it's been a bit understated, Pape, because we all knew how well he was playing. But I don't think anyone kind of, including myself, realised how much we actually missed him being out these past 4 or 5 games. And I feel like he just adds that so much balance to that midfield. He just never stops running, ever never stops running, never runs out of energy. The duels he was winning as well, the link up between the midfield and the attack. I mean, how many times did he just turn over the ball to set us on our way yesterday? I just thought it was an unbelievable performance from Pape, and he kind of enabled so many players on that pitch yesterday, not just Bissouma, but I thought Kulusevski as well.
Yeah, 100%. And he was literally covering the whole pitch. He was defending with Bissouma brilliantly. I think he made 2 tackles on the day, but also 2 key passes showing his offensive ability as well. Probably should have scored a chance out by Brennan Johnson in the centre. Would be disappointed with that. Could have left it as well. He had 2 players at the back post there. But 100% I agree with you. I think just the energy he brings, it allows us just more control of the game. And I feel like in previous weeks, in some elements, we've done well creating chances, but we've let too many chances. In some elements, we've done okay controlling the game, but then we haven't done well, creating the chances. And I think this was the perfect balance, and I think Sarr was definitely a massive part of that. And I thought we had a brilliant display, and it was really good to have him back. And, I thought he was looking sharp when he came off the bench against West Ham on Thursday, and it was really great to see him back in the starting 11, and I thought it was really good to have him back.
I think it's actually scary how good this guy can be and how young he is and what mature performances and dominating performances he's putting in the Premier League at this age. Can you imagine if he carries on this trajectory for the next 2-3 years? I mean, we could have like one of the best midfielders in the Premier League at that point, because he's already up there.
Why not?
It's unbelievable. But let's move on to Decky. Sim gives him an 8. I gave him a 9. I thought he was unplayable for the most part yesterday. I thought he took a while to get into the game yesterday, Kulusevski, but once he got into the game, like I said, I thought Pape Matar Sarr, Bissouma, Udogie and Porro just kind of let him flourish and let him do his thing. The amount of chances he was creating, they just could not deal with him. They could not get the ball off him. He's missing maybe a goal or assist in his game yesterday, but look, the amount of chances he was laying on to his teammates yesterday, I mean, he should have had a few.
I think in the words of Ange, I'll probably say I've been a bit harsh on the lad, because I should have given him a 9. I think that was worthy of the performance, because I thought he was exceptional. I think he was the one who created the most chances in the game, 5 key passes, exceptional performance. I thought when he was out wide or in the centre, he was brilliant. He set up just so many chances. Set up the chance for Johnson, who hit the post. Set up the chance for Skip, who should have scored as well. He missed one. In that first half, I thought Bruno Guimaraes and Miley and Joel Linton just couldn't get near him. Whenever he decided to go on a run, he was unstoppable. And he just has that strength and that ball carrying ability, which makes him so hard to deal with. And yet, when he gets in those positions in the space just outside the box, he has that quality to do something, have a shot, pick out a pass, and I thought he was just exceptional.
I think you're getting the Ange cough. You caught the Ange cough.
It seems that way.
We're all just going to be copying Ange now, just coughing everywhere we go. But let's move on to Brennan Johnson on the right-hand side in his best position. Best performance in a Spurs shirt yesterday. 8 all round for Brennan. And I thought in the opening stages of the game, he was a bit frustrating because he was seeing a lot of the ball and he was putting in probably a few lackluster crosses. There was one really good one for Pape Matar Sarr where Pape should have done better. But I felt like after Sonny kind of did what he did on that left-hand side, it kind of gave, in a weird way, gave Brennan a bit more confidence, and then he grew into the game and he was starting to attack his fullback really well, Livramento, and he was beating him consistently, getting good balls into the box, and he became a bit unplayable in that second half where they didn't really know how to deal with him.
Yeah, I think Livramento would be sick at the sight of him, because every time Johnson took him on, he just had no answer. He had too much pace, too much power for him, and I thought his final ball was definitely improving. He set up that chance for Sarr. He had a few decent crosses to the back post as well. Obviously, he had that chance that hit the post he could have done more with, but it was more just that sense of every time he got the ball, again, you had a sense of something was going to happen. You had the sense that he was going to beat someone, and there was that also a lovely moment where he flicks it over Livramento's head and just goes on a run, and he's becoming really, really good at that, like finding little opportunities and creating something out of nothing, which is really vital in those positions. And I feel like when it comes to Ange, how he wants his wingers to play, when Johnson's on the right, I think that's really what he likes to see in terms of being able to be relentless, taking your man on, opening up the space and creating those chances. And I thought he was just a thorn in Newcastle's side yesterday. They really struggled to deal with him, and a really top performance, and he just looks so much more comfortable on the right. So I think we should really be keeping him there.
Yeah, totally agree. And I feel like I've been saying this over the past few weeks, where I feel like Brennan is growing into this role at Tottenham, and he's growing week on week. And I think that was so evident yesterday in that game, because not only was it his best performance, but he just looks so dangerous. He really did. And that pace that he does have, and he's starting to beat his man quite consistently now. So he really is growing into that Spurs shirt now. But let's move on to the man of the day, and that is our captain, our leader, and that is Heung-min Son. 10s all round from us. He absolutely destroyed Trippier last night, and that was a pure vintage Sonny display. And I don't remember Son having a performance like that for a while, in terms of being on the left-hand side, consistently beating his man. And it's not like he's beating any slouch. He's beating the best right back in the Premier League so far this season, right back of the Premier League last season as well. He's having an astonishing season, Trippier, but Sonny just took him to the cleaners yesterday. He really did. Those 2 assists that he did in the first half, that kind of took down our nerves yesterday, because after the first goal, you're like, all right, we need to get another goal. We got that all thanks to Heung-min Son, and we basically got the 2 goals all down to Heung-min Son yesterday, and the way he just absolutely dismantled Trippier. But it wasn't just that. I mean, the way he led the team by example, geeing up his players all the time, link-up play was spot on. I mean, we've been saying in the lead up to this game pretty much all season, he can't play on the left-hand side anymore. He doesn't have the energy, and he played it to perfection yesterday, and probably had his best performance of the season. He moved over to the striker position as well in the last stage of the game, which I thought he was brilliant at, and he won the penalty and slotted it away lovely. So yeah, he could have had a goal maybe from open play where it just went just past the post, but all in all, it was an astonishing display from Heung-min Son.
Yeah, it was like a bit of a throwback performance from Heung-min Son, and how he used to play on the left, and how he used to really take people on and really take him to the sword. And I thought Trippier just had absolutely no answer, couldn't live with Heung-min Son yesterday, and he embarrassed him a bit, to be honest, with his performance on the left-hand side. But it wasn't just those 2 moments. I just thought whenever he got the ball, he was electric, like looking to use that pace of his into the space, looking to attack Newcastle, creating chances. Well, I think he had 4 key passes on the day, which is only second to Decky. Obviously, didn't in the first half. I think he had 1 shot, which obviously Dubravka saved, but didn't have too many efforts on goal. But he was really a creator in chief. He was so good at setting up chances for his teammates, and I thought he was absolutely brilliant on that front. And then when he moved into the centre, I think he was just as much of a threat as well, getting beyond the Newcastle centre backs. They couldn't live with his pace when he was running in behind. He had that chance where he spun in behind Lascelles and just dragged his shot just wide, and then obviously played through on goal by Porro for the penalty, and obviously slotted it home perfectly, and that rounded off a top display from Son, and it was just a perfect game from him. And he's I think it was 10 Premier League goals for him now, into double figures. He actually matched his tally from last season now, so with a lot of games to go. So absolutely brilliant from Son.
And also, like, he was a doubt coming into this game. Like, the amount of pain he was in at the end of that West Ham game, I was for sure certain that we're going to see a period of Heung-min Son on the sidelines. He gets named in the starting lineup, and he has his best performance and probably most energy-sapping performance as well of the season on that left-hand side, just beating Trippier, destroying Trippier. It was a joy to behold, it really was. But let's move on to the last of the starting lineup in Richarlison, and big props to Richarlison for last night. 9s all round, back into the side after surgery, and he looks so much better for it, moving more freer, getting around the pitch as well, dropping deep, knitting some of the play together. Probably the best link-up play I've ever seen Richarlison do in a Spurs shirt, winning the ball back time and time again, getting in the good position to score that first goal with the cutback from Heung-min Son, and being on the end of a great ball from Pedro Porro. Yeah, it probably wasn't the best touch, but he recovered well to knock the ball in the back of the net past Dubravka.
Yeah, and I just think he looked a lot sharper than he's ever looked, especially recently, especially this season. He looked a lot freer in his movement. When he was taking people on, he just seemed a lot fresher, and he was pressing from the front and getting in people's faces, and just being a nuisance for Newcastle. And obviously he got those 2 goals, one with his to both with his left actually, but 2 real strikers finishes as well in the box, showing his he can really sniff out the goals when needs be. And that was really the real Richarlison. I felt like yesterday. We haven't seen that Richarlison at Spurs for a long time, or ever really. The one we bought from Everton, and maybe now that surgery and those injury problems hopefully behind him, maybe we're going to start to see the real Richarlison now, because I thought yesterday was just a breath of fresh air from him. It was really great to have a striker who gave us a bit more presence in the box and gave us that ability to swing it in sometimes and go long, and someone who's able to challenge centre-backs. And I thought he finished those 2 chances really, really well, and I thought his overall game was a lot stronger than it has been this season. So a really, really good display from Richarlison.
You know, for a player that everyone says is no good and he's a £60 million flop, 3 goals, 3 assists this season so far, 6 goal contributions, outscoring the likes so far of Gabriel Jesus. Probably everyone, as Arsenal fans go on about him, you know, the best Brazilian striker since Ronaldo Nazario. And also Martinelli, he's outscoring him on the left-hand side, who had an astonishing performance last season for Arsenal. So I think Richarlison deserves some credit where it's due, to be honest.
Damn
so big up to Big Rishi for last night. But let's go on to the substitutes, starting off with Pierre-Emile Højbjerg. 5s all round for us. I think he kept things simple in the middle, went forward okay, but the real talking point is him giving away the ball for the goal that we did concede. I thought it was just a bit needless at that point in the game, and he was probably the one at fault for giving away that clean sheet.
Yeah, it was sloppy, absolutely sloppy. Can't really give him an excuse. Everyone was playing so well, like everyone was like making sure their passes were on point, and then Højbjerg comes on and just gives away that sloppy goal with the sloppy pass, and just needless, absolutely needless. It's really frustrating, and that's the disappointing thing with Højbjerg. Sometimes he can just that passing that he has. Sometimes he can just when he has a lack of care with his passing, that can happen, and that did happen with the goal, and it ruined a bit of a blot on what was a fantastic day for us. And it should have been a clean sheet, to be honest.
Yeah, should have been. Moving on to Giovanni Lo Celso, he was a surprise inclusion on the bench yesterday because, you know, with the performances that he's been putting in recent weeks, we thought he was a dead cert to start, but he was on the bench. He came on for the final 20-15 minutes. We gave him a 6 all round. I thought out of the substitutes, he was probably the best one out of the 3, and look, he was putting himself about, nice little passes, could have even got on the score sheet as well after he came on. But I thought it was, like an okay sub appearance. But the game was dead. The game was already won after he came on.
Yeah, it was a bright cameo. He did some really good dribbling and ball carrying, but I felt like it was a bit aimless. Didn't really do it with any purpose. And sometimes he was guilty of hanging on to the ball too long and losing it. But I did think he tried to go forward, tried to make things happen, but as you say, it wasn't. I think he'll be a bit disappointed. Probably could have done a bit more with his cameo, but the game was already won by then.
Yeah, it's just a shame, isn't it? Because after the performances that he's put in, 2 goals since he's been in the team, but now after that performance, you've got to say he's back on the bench now.
That's reality.
Oliver Skipp, the last player that we're going to rate, 6s all round for Skippy. Look, again, I thought it was an okay cameo. The game was done. Should have got on the score sheet with pretty much a gilt-edged chance to really put the ball in the back of the net for a lovely delivery from Dejan Kulusevski. But apart from that, there was not much in it for Skippy.
Yeah, well, it wasn't it was a pretty quiet cameo apart from that one chance he had. Should have put it away. Didn't have too many other touches on the ball. Can't really say too much about him, but yeah, did all right when he came on.
And let's go on to Big Ange Postecoglou. Sim gives him a 9. I gave him a 10. And I said he got it wrong in the last game against West Ham in terms of his starting lineup and potentially changes in the game as well. But I thought he got everything absolutely spot on down to a T yesterday. No one considered putting Sonny back out over to the left, and we did, and he was much better off for it. I thought it was a bit of a stroke of genius to put Sonny maybe as more of a creator in this game than anything else. Richarlison as the number 9. Both of them worked to an absolute treat. Pape Matar coming back into the team as well to give the team a lot more energy, kind of enabled the other midfielders that we did have. And I felt like he must have just drilled into that team, look, we got to do this, we got to do that, we got to be more clinical, we got to get the ball in the back of the net. And I think everything that we've been lacking in the Aston Villa game, the West Ham game, all these games that we've been dropping points in, I think he put right in this game. And not only did we go 1-0 up again, we got the second, we got the third, we got the fourth, a proper clinical performance. And you know what? That first half wasn't too dissimilar into the way that we were dominated games, but it's just the incisiveness and the clinical edge that we showed. And Ange Postecoglou must have drilled it into them because he was very upset after the last game. He mentioned after this game that maybe he's been a bit too harsh on them, but yesterday was just a vintage performance, and that was down to Ange Postecoglou, in my opinion.
Yeah, 100%. And when you're playing the way we are, it means you can stick by the team even when the performances, even the results are going against you like they've gone in the past 5 games. Because I think everyone can really see on the pitch what is happening at Spurs, this project that we're going with, what Ange is trying to do. And I think wins like this it was only a consequence of what Ange is trying to do and how we're trying to get us to play and the football he's got us playing. And I thought, completely spot on in part. The team selection was absolutely spot on. Getting that energy back in the team as well, getting Richarlison back in, putting Son out wide as well, putting Kulu instead of Lo Celso was the right call in the end. Getting Johnson back on the right, getting those dynamics right on the pitch was absolutely spot on. And I think that he has just given us a sense of belief that even when, go 5 games out of win and we've got 4 losses in 5, no one's panicking, no one's saying everything's over, no one's saying, Ange is in trouble or under pressure, because you can see on the pitch with the performances that we're putting in that it just needs a bit of luck in our favour, and these results will start to return for us, and we are going to start to win games again. And then we sit back and watch games like yesterday, where it's just such a joy to watch, and it's a delight to watch, because we're playing beautiful football, we're creating loads of chances, scoring loads of goals, absolutely dominating the opposition. And we were just unlucky that some of the games beforehand didn't go that way when it easily could have, and we could have been sitting back and watching those games thinking what beautiful football and beautiful wins. We got a bit of luck when against us in the games against Villa and West Ham and stuff, but yesterday, wasn't luck that went for us. It was just the quality that we showed that won us the game, and hopefully, more often than not, that is what's going to happen under Ange.
And it can't be stated enough what an impact this man has had at this football club, because people are quick to forget. Nobody mentions Harry Kane anymore. Maybe over the past couple of days, people are saying, if Harry Kane's here, we win these 5 games, or a big percentage of them. But what he's done at this football club in such a short space of time, you got to remember, we finished 8th last season in a depressed fan base, a depressed football club, losing your best player and top goal scorer of all time in Harry Kane. You don't understand how much that is understated by maybe people outside of this football club. It really is, and he's just come in, he's hit the ground running, and if I'm telling you now, if it wasn't for these crazy injuries that we got, forget the suspensions, just the injuries, Maddison, Van de Ven. If Maddison and Van de Ven never got injured, I think we'd be top of the league right now.
There's a good case for it with some of the games that we've dropped points in and when we shouldn't have. So I think he's doing an astounding job, and I don't care about the people. I saw people, there was other YouTubers and pundits starting to call him out after our winless run, and I think they just look at the results and base it completely on that, because if you're watching the games, you'll see what he's doing and how he's doing it right. And I think that just gives you so much more to cling on to and to hope for, even when things are going wrong. And I think that is the main thing with Ange, because last season things started to go wrong and there was nothing to cling on to. There's nothing that you can look at and say, okay, if we can turn this around or that, because it was just, everything was so dour. But this season is completely different. And I think Ange has really just brought that belief back to us, and the football is just a joy to watch.
Yeah, and that's what we've been saying at the end of every one of these losses. Don't panic. We're on the right path. Things will go better. Things will get right, and things will correct itself. And it seems as though that definitely happened last night at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. But that is our player ratings. Let me know your ratings in the comment section below. But let's go on to the 5 takeaways and see what 5 things we can take away from the game yesterday. Probably a lot more than 5 takeaways, but we have narrowed it down to 5, and you can let us know the rest in the comment section. But the first one that we're going to be talking about is Son masterclass.
Yeah, and Son, back out on the left yesterday, and it was a proper throwback performance I felt from him and Son, and I thought he was absolutely brilliant on the day. In all facets of the game, I thought he was probably our best player. 4 key passes, which was second only to Decky, 3 completed dribbles, 4 shots, 2 on target, but also defensively off the ball, leading by example as well. 2 tackles, 2 interceptions, and also 7 out of 12 ground duels he won as well. So I thought it was obviously got 2 assists and a goal as well yesterday. I thought it was brilliant from Heung-min Son, and a top display, and man of the match and captain leading by example.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was vintage Sonny yesterday. And it felt like this was Sonny of like 3-4 years ago. The way he was attacking Trippier, the way he did, completely destroyed Trippier. I've never seen Trippier get dominated as much as he has done yesterday. But it was a bit of a stroke of genius because obviously Sonny knows Trippier very well with playing with each other. I don't know if that played into it at all, but I just thought him on that left-hand side. We've been saying he can't play on the left-hand side. Now what do we do? now what do we say? I mean, he's a world-class left winger. He's a world-class striker. At what point do you just say he's just world-class? You know what I mean?
I think we're beyond that point.
Yeah.
He's also overtaken Eriksen for our most assists ever. He's become one of 7 players to score 10 or more Premier League goals in 7 consecutive seasons as well. I mean, how many Premier League goals is he on? I mean, is there a conversation there about looking at Shearer for him?
For him, Shearer, I think he's about, 100 goals behind or something, maybe a bit less.
How many Premier League
goals? I think
goals?
Salah's 100 goals behind Shearer, so he's a bit way behind.
Son Premier League goals.
I think Son to get
113, so he's 147.
Yeah, 150 odd,
150.
give or take.
It's going to take a big effort
I don't think there's a case for him to overtake Shearer. But instead of going for those records, just appreciate what we have in Heung-min Son. Top assister for Spurs' history. 23rd in the Premier League rankings of all time. And look, what can you say about the man? An unbelievable leader.
Least, do you reckon? 200 Premier League goals?
What's he on? 113?
Yeah.
Can he reach 200?
87 more.
I think
87 goals more.
Yeah, I think even that's going to be a stretch, to be honest. Because how many more years do you reckon he's got in a Spurs shirt at the top level? 3 at the max?
Who knows? Could be more.
You reckon?
Could be.
How many do you reckon?
He keeps very good in very good condition, doesn't he? Maybe 5 at max. I would say 5 max.
Yeah, I mean he needs 5 at max. 20 goals a season would be 100. You know what I mean? It's going to be a big stretch.
Come on, Sonny, we're cool. We're gunning for you. Let's do it.
I don't think he is, but like, forget the records. Like, he's already got enough of his own records, to talk about until the cows come home. It's just model professional, model captain, model left winger, model striker, the model human being. I mean, can you ask for a better player than Heung-min Son right now?
I don't think so.
Supermodel, exactly. But let's move on to number 2, and that is aggressive Spurs.
Yeah, and I thought Spurs put in a much more aggressive performance than they have been in recent weeks. I think off the ball was actually one of the biggest differences yesterday in terms of how dominant we were. And I think the stats bear that out. Actually, Spurs made 22 tackles on the day, which is our highest tally of the season. We made our second most tackles in the middle third, and our most tackles of the season in the defensive and the attacking thirds. And Basuma was the chief arbiter with the tackles of 8 tackles on the day, accounting for about 30% of our tackles on the day. So I thought he was brilliant in terms of being off the ball, and I thought Spurs just put in a much more aggressive performance off the ball yesterday compared to maybe recent weeks.
Yeah, and it wasn't just him. I thought everyone was just so aggressive. When you look at the back, Cuti Romero, Ben Davis, Pedro Porro, Destiny Udogie, Basuma, Sarr, Kulusevski, Richarlison. I mean, all these players were just so aggressive on the day and harnessed that aggressiveness in such a great way. Maybe apart from Romero's one where he could have got sent off, but I think Ange would have definitely drilled into them after the last game against West Ham, where I felt in the second half against West Ham we did lose a bit of that aggressivity, and that was all back for everyone to see yesterday. And Ange would have definitely drilled into them, saying, look, we need to be more aggressive, we need to be more clinical, and that's exactly what we were yesterday. So big up to the team, big up to Ange Postecoglou. Let's move on to number 3, and that is sharp Richarlison.
Yeah, and after his surgery, as he claims to be giving him a lot of pain and holding him back, I thought he really did look back to his best yesterday, Richarlison. He was a breath of fresh air. He had 6 shots on the day, which is his highest tally in one game for the season, 3 on target, completed 1 dribble and 1 tackle, and obviously got a brace at the end of the day as well, taking his tally for the season to 3 goals. I really hope this is a turning point now for Richarlison in terms of his career at Tottenham and his season, because we all know there's a player in there. We all know that before we signed him, he was a good player at Everton, and we've seen what he can do in the Premier League, and he's just been a shadow of that player since he's come to Tottenham. But yesterday, we just saw a glimpse of what that player we knew is in there, and it was a really good brace from him, and I thought he looked a lot sharper than he has during the whole season.
Yeah, 2 goals on the day, best performance in the Spurs shirt. We really saw why we kind of spent that money on him, to be honest, yesterday. I thought he played the game to perfection, to be honest. Really aggressive, linking the play really well, getting on the end of things. But he needs to kick on from here now. He has to kick on from here. I think he's got till the end. I think that performance has bought him some more time, but he needs to go on a run of games now where he's scoring goals, impacting the game, pretty much putting in displays like he did yesterday. We need to see that from him on a consistent basis now, because if it's not, it's just another flash in the pan game because we have seen him have good games in the Spurs shirt before, maybe not as good as that, but then he's just followed it up with like poor performances, bad control and all that. But look, yesterday he was brilliant, but I just want to see him kick on from here now. Let's move on to number 4 now, and that is Spurs on top.
Yeah, and Spurs really took Newcastle to the sword yesterday. We spoke about how aggressive we were off the ball, and our tallies for tackles and interceptions was really high. But in terms of on the ball, our creativity and and how many shots we were able to get off on the Newcastle goal, it was also one of our highest, best performances of the season. We created 3.8 XG, which is our highest tally of the season, and Newcastle's highest tally against them this season as well. It was our second game in the season for shots on target. It was third for shot creating actions as well. So Spurs were absolutely on top from start to finish, and it was definitely a game. I think it was probably the game where our attack clicked the most the whole season, I would say.
Yeah, I'll totally agree with that. And not just like for certain moments in game, throughout the whole game pretty much. We were just dynamite, literally dynamite. And Newcastle in every facet of the pitch couldn't deal with us, whether it be at the front end of the pitch with Richarlison, Son and Kulusevski doing their magic, whether it be in the midfield with Basuma, Sarr, Udogie and Porro inverting into that midfield role, or it be at the back with Ben Davies and Coutinho Romero doing their thing. So I think it was just a full-on dominant display where Spurs were just so on top yesterday, and it was a joy to behold, and it was a great game to be at as well. The atmosphere was on point as well. So it's great to get back to winning ways, but it's not just the win, isn't it? It's the style in which we did it as well. So unbelievable to see. But let's move on to the 5th and final takeaway, and that is Pape Matar Sarr is back.
Yeah, and back with a bang, I would say, with a really great display back in the midfield. And I think the stats again bear out what an all-round midfielder he is and how important he was to the team. 5 out of 9 ground duels won, 4 tackles, 2 out of 3 aerial duels won, but also had 2 shots and 2 key passes on the day as well. Just going to show how all-round his performance was, and how he was able to help out Basuma defensively and was on point there, but also offensively, making those key passes, being part of the team going forward as well, and with our creativity. And I thought it was just so good to have him back in the team, and I thought he was absolutely brilliant.
I loved watching him play yesterday. I just absolutely loved it. I remember saying at half-time to the people I was chatting to, like, he's just made such a difference, and he kind of enables so much in that team, and he's just so underrated in terms of how much of an impact he actually has when he's on that football pitch, like completely non-stop running, literally non-stop for the entire game. And for someone that has just come back from injury as well, to put in a performance like that, the energy levels, the confidence, everything. Like, there was one moment he had it in the corner of the pitch with 2 or 3 Newcastle players around him, and he just dances around them like they're not even there. And that just encapsulated what an unbelievable performance he is. Just so aggressive, so much energy. I just love watching him play. I really does. And he does it all with a smile on his face as well. So, I mean, he's an epitome of what this Ange Ball and this Postecoglou team is all about. Really is. So that is our 5th and final takeaway. That is our 5 takeaways. There probably were a lot more takeaways to take from that game. That's just how much of a good performance it was and how many standout performances there were. So if you have any more on top of what we thought about, let us know in the comments section below. But that is your 5 takeaways for the brilliant win, what was 4-1 against Newcastle yesterday. But let's go on to the last segment, and my favourite segment of the show, which is Twitter Reacts. So What have we got today? First up, we've got the Spurs Express saying, safe to say Tottenham players really enjoyed Destiny Udogi's performance and goal yesterday. There you have it. The Spurs players just coming in their numbers to respond to Destiny Udogi.
Brennan Johnson, my dog. I love it.
Brennan Johnson, Mickey van der Ven, Pedro Porro. Great to see the kind of...
Seems very popular.
Yeah, the atmosphere in the team is just second to none, isn't it? I mean, they all just seem so together, don't they?
Yeah, it seems like a real family feel. And that's what I think Romero said before the game, didn't he? He was saying how, even though we're going through hard times, we're a family and we stick together. And I think we're really seeing that in this group. Yeah.
Tottenham Hotspur says, he is him. And that's Destiny Udogi pointing to himself after he did score yesterday.
And hinting at a contract extension, maybe?
Potentially.
Only 3 hours ago they tweeted that.
Oh, really? So I'm sure that's going to be announced very soon. But we have heard from very reliable journalists that Destiny is about to sign a new bumper long contract at Spurs, which is music to all our ears. And you know what? On the back of a few, I wouldn't say bad performances because they haven't been bad, but not as good, I would say, as maybe it has been before that red card and obviously that really bad pass that he did to give away that goal against West Ham. I think he needed to give us one of these performances, and it was great to see him get on the score sheet as well. And you've seen a number of these occasions kind of this season already when you see Coutinho Romero on his first game back for a suspension scoring and putting us 1-0 up against West Ham. Yes, I know we lost the game, but he had to give us something, and that he did. A brilliant performance and a goal. And now Destiny, after giving away that goal against West Ham, which was detrimental to us, to put in a performance like that and score the goal as well.
100%, and he really looked like his old confident self again.
Next up, we've got Spurs OTM saying the injured boys loved it, and you see Mickey van der Ven, Ashley Phillips, Manuel Solomon celebrating on the sidelines yesterday.
I wonder what number goal that is, but yeah, I absolutely love watching that. And I love that they're still, even though they're out injured, it must be frustrating for them. They're still all there for the team. That's really great.
Another tweet here saying Sonny and Forster, those two are too cute together.
And there's Forster rubbing his head. Everyone just always has a playful relationship with Sonny. It's so funny.
The bromances continue for Heung-min Son.
Yes, who doesn't have a bromance with you? He has bromance, absolutely
everyone. Nice one. Sonny tweeted Pedro wanting to do Son celebration with him. And this is just Pedro every game, just doing everyone's celebrations.
He's taken on the Reguilon role, just copying everyone's celebration. But of course, Sonny will let him join in. Come on. Love that. Absolutely love that.
The other one has been disabled, so we'll go down to Vaz Coney. Who would have thought that we'd miss out the most during this period was Pape Matar. And that's kind of what I was alluding to. I don't know if we've missed him the most, because I think we've missed Mickey van der Ven probably the most out of everyone. But Pape Matar has been sorely missed, underratedly sorely missed, and we saw that yesterday.
100%, and it was so great to have him back, and I think he just gives us a bit more balance with just because he can still do it on the ball, he's still got quality, but off the ball he just gives us so much energy and gives us a really good platform to control the game.
Nice one, Sonny, as well, with the tweet saying winning the ground duel and then the dribble. Look at this from Heung-min Son yesterday, and
this is what encapsulates him. Look, he wins the ball and then he has a quality dribble past it and then set us on the attack. It's absolutely brilliant from Sonny.
He seemed like he just had 2 extra yards of pace yesterday, Sonny.
Yeah, honestly, he seemed just much fresher than ever. That's the quality he got.
Another tweet here from Blunder. We'll go down to the next one saying Cooties' kiss is not Sonny's cheek but his neck. So the Argentinian men also kiss each other's necks. Is this a custom in Argentina?
I don't know, but Romero seems to do it. There you go. And then I think that's when he gave him the captain's armband. He gave him when he went off the pitch, Sonny. But love that embrace from Romero.
Some more bromance there going on with Heung-min Son. Carrie Brown, this is about Joey Barton, so we'll skip past that one. Coco saying, laughing about Almiron, I presume. Sonny and Gordon having a little bit of a joke after the game. Even Gordon
can't, exactly. No one can resist the Sonny bromance. 100%. Even when you've just been slapped 4-1, you can't. When Son comes and smiles, there's nothing you can do.
I bet you even Trippier would have embraced him after the game yesterday, 100%. And I'm sure he did.
100%. Son after the game called him one of his closest friends.
Trippier. Oh right, wow. And that's how you treat one of your closest friends, absolutely destroying him on the football pitch. Love that. This was the Tottenham mascots yesterday. This was cute, very, very cute from these young Tottenham mascots yesterday, doing their warm-ups and their push-ups. It was great
They're
to
ready
see.
for business, it looks like. They're ready for war.
Maybe they got a nice little pep talk from Ange Postecoglou yesterday as well.
They definitely won the warm-up, that's for sure. Look, you got to take every win as you can.
Absolutely.
And you take it from the warm-up as well.
Axel THFC saying, was today our best performance of the season? Except for the first 10 minutes of the second half, we were pretty much completely dominant for the entire game. 3.88 XG, created 7 big chances, 23 shots, 12 on target. Everyone had a good game. And I would say probably like the first 5 minutes of the game and just the opening of both halves, I would say. And then we were completely dominant apart from that.
Yeah, I think it probably was our best performance of the season. I can't think of another performance that was better.
Yeah, I agree. Aaron Lennon tweeting last night just with Richarlison and a clapping emoji. So
Big up, Lennon.
Aaron Lennon buying into Ange.
I wonder what he thinks
well.
of Brennan Johnson as well. He must surely think like he reminds me of himself.
We need to get Aaron Lennon on the channel.
100%,
That's what we need to do. We need to
100%.
delve deep into what he thinks about Spurs.
Come on, Lennon. Everyone spam Lennon. Get him to come on the channel.
Ben Haynes tweeting out yesterday, ridiculous how much of a difference Sarr makes. Reads dangerous situations so well, covers so much ground, and makes everyone around him better as well. And that's pretty much what we've been saying all stream as well.
Yeah, and I think on and off the ball, he does the same. He does what he's saying, make everyone better. And he's just a really good facilitator. It's fantastic.
Jeromax with the tweet yesterday saying, always class when they celebrate right in front of you. And what seats he had.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And there you go. That must have been Sonny's goal. What a great moment that is. And everyone celebrating with him. It's lovely to see.
Invert the Wing tweeting out, absolute genius move by Postecoglou, fits the creativity issue of dropping Lo Celso by utilising Son in a more creative sense. I never ever considered this. What a genius move.
And if he's got the seal approval from Invert the Wing, then it must have been a genius move.
And he was saying coming into this game that
there's absolutely no chance we win or something.
I don't know if he was saying no chance we win, but he kept saying consistently throughout the season that this is going to be one of our hardest games of the season.
Well, didn't get that one right.
Carefree Lewis yesterday with the tweet saying, get Poch out. We look worse by the fucking game. Tired. And
come on.
And I was kind of bantering him on Twitter yesterday, and I was saying to him, Agent Poch and his magic, you know. And you know what? This kind of run and all the Chelsea fans' reaction toward Pochettino just makes me love him even more.
So great. They're all turning toxic. As much as I love Poch and I don't want to see him suffer, I love watching Chelsea in this in the way they're at.
Let's be honest, we all wanted Poch to fail at Chelsea.
Of course we did. 100%, and that's what it seems. And look, and I knew it was going to happen. As soon as things were bad, they would hold the Tottenham thing against him.
But I mean, it's not too dissimilar to Mourinho and Conte. You know, everyone tarnished them with that brush as well. Being ex-Chelsea guys.
No, I know. You mean the Spurs. Sorry, yeah.
The Spurs watch saying there's only one Vicario. Look at that face. He was pulling at Wilson yesterday. He's like, you mess with my Richarlison, this is what you're going to get.
Yeah, basically, F you. No chance that header's going in.
And Callum Wilson had his say on the situation as well. He said their goalkeeper Vicario was pulling faces and messing around, a total lack of respect. And Vicario responded to that saying, respect is given to everyone that respects me. So it's interesting. I don't know what happened because he didn't say anything about the Richarlison thing. He's insinuating that Callum Wilson must have said something throughout the game.
Something must have happened during the game, but Wilson doesn't understand what happened,
and that's just visualized on Instagram exactly what I just said.
Yeah, that was Vicario. Yeah, that was actual post.
Yeah. Next up, we've got Kane from the Lane. Ashley Phillips when Son scored yesterday.
that was Lee Judges when he refused to celebrate when Kane
Ashley
scored the
Phillips had a mare this weekend. He takes Son out of his FPL team.
I love it. Phillips took him out as well. Everyone's like, oh my God, Son's injured. Phillips took him out. We'll go and start making moves. And it just turns out Phillips just had a mare.
Maybe the narrative maybe it was just a last minute inclusion for Heung-min Son. I don't know. Maybe the narrative within the squad or in the camp was saying Son was going to miss the game. We don't know.
Didn't seem like it was.
No, I mean he had probably best performance of the season. Billy T saying Vicario is so tapped, love him so much, and this was just another one of that him and
his actual face. Oh.
I love Vicario so much, and I don't know, it's such a turn of kind of the way he's like played himself into the Spurs fan base is just an unbelievable story because like we all wanted David Raya so much. And Vicario comes to us, we're like, who is this Vicario? Why are we going for the cheap option? Blah, blah, blah. But he's been the best goalkeeper in the league. Never mind like a great performance at Tottenham. He's been the best goalkeeper in the league this season.
Yeah, he's literally been absolutely phenomenal. Can't believe how good he's been.
Not one game wrong he's had. Axel THFC saying casuals don't know that only Trent can chat to Pedro Porro. What an insane right back. Do you agree?
I can't think of too many right backs who are better than him right now. I think Trippier's obviously had a phenomenal season, but he's looking on his feet at the moment. Reece James can't get on the pitch. Trent's unbelievable. I mean, who else? What other right backs there? Kyle Walker.
Trippier's the only one, really.
Kyle Walker's been brilliant, but I think I'd much rather Porro's quality on the ball than how Walker's been playing. I don't know. Porro's just so underrated. I think he's just incredible. I think he's right. I think the casuals don't realise how good Porro is.
I agree. And on current form, you would say the best three right backs in the league are Porro, Trippier and Trent.
100%.
Those are the three best in the league. I mean, Reece James, I think on quality is up there, definitely. But Reece James is Reece James. Just can't get him on the pitch, to be honest. Carefree Lewis again. I had to like another one of his tweets. And he says, this effing Tottenham prick keeps trying to lower the standards of this club. Get Pochettino out tonight. And this was on the back of Poch saying, our reality now is mid-table. And if we want to go up, we have to push ourselves. When the transfer window opens, see what we can do. I'm not saying I'm going to ask for more players or less, but it is to see if the perception matches reality.
I mean, that's why they need more signings.
Yeah,
more signings.
They need to send another billion.
Exactly.
Spurs Express saying a Dogi on Instagram. Special night. Happy for my first goal and the massive win. We keep going all together. Hashtag blessed and come on you Spurs.
Big up Destiny. Big up.
Coco with a tweet saying my peacekeeping angel at it again, and that was Cuti Romero actually just pushing Vicario and
was that Porro? Who that he's having words with Wilson?
Yeah, looks like it.
There we go. Usually Romero's, we've said it before, Romero's usually the one getting involved in all this argy-bargy, but
this was the moment.
What's Porro saying? Come at me. He's saying, come say it to my face. Is that what he's saying? Porro. He's saying, come here, like that. He's saying, come here.
Yeah, and this was just after Cuti got handed the captain's armband as well. So
is this after the game? This is the final whistle, no?
Oh, the final whistle, sorry, yeah. So at the end of the game when he had the captain's armband on.
Then Porro, then Vicario as well.
I love it, yeah. No matter what happens at the end of the game, Bissouma always seems to walk off the pitch with the captain's armband on his sleeve. Always. I don't understand how that happens.
I didn't realise that.
But after the game, I'm seeing all the players walk down the tunnel. Bissouma's with his top off, but the captain's armband on his arm.
So funny.
Spurs Express saying, Sonny on Instagram, this is the reaction we wanted. Back to winning ways. Thank you for all the love, everyone. Come on, you Spurs. Alfie THFC saying, God bless Paratici, Bissouma, Udogie, Porro, Sarr, Bentancur, Kulusevski with small pictures of Alejo Veliz and Pedro Porro saying, how are we doing, boss? And with Paratici in a jail saying, bellissimo.
And look, to be fair, all those signings are done brilliantly.
Yeah.
Obviously, Veliz hasn't shown it yet, but the other ones, they've just been phenomenal
top tier signings, haven't they? Top tier.
I'm just looking at that thinking, that's a great signing. That's a great signing. That's a great signing. That's a great signing. That's a great... Like, it's unbelievable.
And when everyone spoke about, or when me and you spoke about Spurs having to do this big rebuild, a couple of years back before Paratici came to the club, we all kind of were fearing the worst because the recruitment was just terrible at that point. It was really terrible. He's come in and everyone had their say about Paratici because maybe some of these players took a while to bed into the club, young players coming through. Maybe it took them a season or two to really stamp their authority on the squad. But now you're really starting to see the fruits of his labour, aren't you?
100%, and it's paying off massively.
Next up, we've got another one of Mickey and Vic hugging after the game, and I just miss Vicky van der Ven so much, man.
You can see how much Vicario loved him. Look at that hug. That's a massive hug.
That is a massive
we're
hug.
missing Mickey. Can't wait to get him back in the team. But it's so great that he's feeling that love as well, even when he's not playing.
Yeah. Sophie tweets that Richarlison's surgery was actually to put the dog in him.
Brilliant.
Brilliant tweet. Cody Mack saying Trippier's first half against Son. Cody Mack is the king of Twitter.
Gotta love Cody Mack. Look at this guy.
Trippier
can handle it.
Spurs Watch saying Sonny's response to taking the penalties for Spurs. Should we call Harry back?
No need. We got Sonny.
And he actually he had so much of a stance of Harry Kane as well. It looked like he learned a lot from Harry Kane and his penalties. Stepping up to that penalty.
It was a classic Kane penalty. Bottom left corner was right into the corner. A lot of power.
Unstoppable.
Classic.
Tottenham tweeting out a cold emoji with Richarlison yesterday. I didn't see him do the pigeon dance yesterday. It seems like
he did.
He did do it.
He did for the second goal.
Okay, but not for the first one.
No, he didn't do it for the first one.
Spurs OTM saying most goals and assists by defenders in the Premier League since Pedro Porro made his debut in the competition. 13 for Trent Alexander-Arnold, 11 for Pedro Porro.
He's catching up.
Spurred On podcast saying loving hosting these, especially when we win. Obviously that's Barnaby, who's been hosting the watch-alongs recently to a top level. So it's not only on the pitch we're doing it, we're off the pitch as well. Some great stuff going on. So thank you, Barnaby, for coming in and hosting the watch-alongs to perfection. This was Tom ST replying to Billy T. It's just another one of the Vicario thing. Pape Matasar tweeting out saying back at it with a big win with some nice pictures in there from Pape. Look how he walked into the pitch yesterday with that blazer on. Unbelievable. Look at that.
Jeez.
Pape Matasar. Spurs Express, Sonny on being named man of the match. I think Richie deserves it, but thank you.
He's so humble. He's just so humble, Sonny. He'll never accept any praise, will he? Honestly. He was actually, I don't know if you saw the interview on Spurs Play.
I didn't see actually.
He said, he was saying how, I think, Rishi's a proper striker and he's playing better than me in the box. And they're all laughing. All the interviewers were laughing. He was like, why are you laughing? He was like, you've got 10 goals, Sonny. You're like one of the top goal scorers in the league. You're also a proper striker. Like, you don't have to be so humble.
Rob Daly tweeting out saying, look at the position of the left back, look at the position of the right back, and look at the position of the striker. Have you ever seen anything like that in the Premier League before?
Honestly. And that's like a typical position you'll see them. Left back, right back, striker. And it's madness. It's madness.
These are the stats of Heung-min Son, now level with level with Ian Wright in the Premier League goal scorer charts. Overtaken Mane, overtaken Giggs, overtaken Dion Dublin, overtaken Crouch. I mean, it's unbelievable to see Heung-min Son. He is not just a Tottenham legend now, he's already a Premier League legend as well.
He should break the top 20 sometime soon, probably by the end of the season.
By the end of the season, for sure. He's going to have more goals than Steven Gerrard and Raheem Sterling soon.
Definitely, yeah, exactly.
Up to Joe, 10. Tottenham have scored the first goal in more Premier League games than any other side this season, 13, including their last 10 in a row, their longest ever run of opening the scoring in the competition. Unbelievable, isn't it?
Is that the last one was Arsenal, was it maybe? The last time we didn't score first?
Did Arsenal take the lead that day? Yeah, it must have been.
Must have been. That must have been. It's only that in Brentford, no?
Did we take the lead against Liverpool, or did Liverpool take the lead against us?
We took the lead.
That's
the only 2 games this season we haven't.
Wow. Incredible. And we've scored in every game this season, right?
Yeah, we've scored in every game.
Squawker tweeting out saying Heung-min Son has now provided as many Premier League assists as Didier Drogba and Paul Scholes, levelling up with the legends. And if I would have told you when Son moved to Spurs, he would have the same assist as Paul Scholes.
Yeah, you would be like, no chance. But he's what a player, man. What a player. And it also goes to show that everyone praises him for his goal scoring ability, but I think he's one of the top chance creators in the league this season as well. And obviously got 2 assists yesterday. And I think at a level, that's a point of his game doesn't get enough credit.
Brendan Johnson and Mickey van der Ven full of praise for Pedro Porro as well. Mickey van der Ven saying top. And Brendan Johnson saying top today, my friend. And look, Pedro Porro was insane yesterday. Kutu Romero on Instagram saying, I have no doubt that we are on the right track. This is an old one. Let's keep going. Everyone together. Always happens. Whatever happens, always together. But I think, there is more. Spurs Webs with Madders on Instagram with just saying Rishi with a pigeon emoji as well.
And he was in his box yesterday, I saw.
Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant.
Ollie Davis with the tweet saying Trippier versus Son today with Bale against Maicon.
Taxi for Trippier.
And you know what? We should have started singing that yesterday because look, he got a good reception, Trippier, yesterday. by the fans. Every time he came over to take the corner, he was getting clapped. But we should have given him that shithousery that we gave Maicon as well.
I was watching a Newcastle channel actually yesterday, just their reaction to the game. They weren't happy that he went to take a corner and he was clapping the Spurs fans back who were clapping. He was like, I'm not having that when we're getting beat. Not having that.
Spurs Web Vicario on Instagram as well, saying a strong performance all round. Love when N17 is buzzing like that.
Big up, Vic.
And he's talking like he's been a Tottenham boy for so many years.
Exactly.
I love it.
Brilliant.
Carragher saying, how much is a Spurs season ticket?
Too much, mate. Too much.
But you know what? Spurs fans have complained for many years now that we've got the most expensive tickets in the league.
I'm not getting our money's worth.
And not getting our money's worth. Well, we're getting the money's worth now, aren't we?
At the moment, we'll keep playing football like this. Yeah, 100%.
I don't think you'll find too many people complaining about the ticket prices if that kind of football's on show.
You can't complain about saying, oh, we're getting the highest ticket prices yet. The product is turgid. I think this season you can't complain about that.
Squawker, Heung-min Son has now scored 10 plus goals in each of his last 8 Premier League seasons. In his first, in 16, 17, 14, next season got 12, then 12, 11, 17, 23, last season 10, and this season not even halfway through and he's on 10 already. How many goals did he get in this season?
I reckon definitely over 20.
Yeah.
I reckon he gets 20. I reckon he gets 24.
24. I'm going 25.
14 more goals.
25 for Mr. Consistent, which is
Sonny.
Heung-min Son. And this was defender Coutinho Romero with the Player of the Match award in his arms.
But I believe it's
post-match.
Sonny's Player of the Match award.
Yeah, he just nicks it. He takes the captain's armband off and then he takes the captain's off the Man of the Match award as well. Tottenham Hotspur tweeting this out yesterday saying, and I took that personally with Richarlison. That's a great little meme yesterday from Richarlison.
Because of what Wilson said about him in his podcast. I think he was referencing that. Absolutely brilliant.
Cho with the tweet yesterday saying, Son winger shifts, we might be back.
We back. Resurrecting Son out wide, or resurrecting.
Fighting Cock saying, Tottenham to the rest of the Premier League. You fucked up. You should have killed me.
Exactly. Now we're coming back. We're coming back for everything.
Spurs Watch, Dejan Kulusevski created 5 chances against Newcastle, more than any other player on the pitch. And there's just something about Spurs players and masks. Whenever Spurs player wears a mask, they seem to just like come out of their own. You know, Harry Kane with the mask with that goal against Arsenal.
Son had a mask.
It
wasn't going very well when he had one, but yeah. It was interesting why he had a mask. Apparently he broke his nose at the end of the West Ham game, which actually not makes sense, but if you remember the end of the West Ham game, he was going mad. Maybe he was angry that the referee didn't do anything about, because clearly he got very hurt.
Must have been, yeah. Up to Joe again. Heung-min Son is the 7th different player to score 10 plus Premier League goals in 8 plus successive seasons after Rooney, Lampard, Aguero, Kane, Henry, and Sadio Mane.
Not bad company, is it?
Unbelievable company. So big up to Heung-min Son. Spurs Hotspur related saying Captain Heung-min Son is now same. Spurs OTM, look at that bromance between Pedro and Destiny Udogie. And you know what? They've got such a good chemistry on the pitch, Udogie and Pedro Porro. They did link up for the penalty as well. And it's just such a... I've never seen kind of fullbacks anything like it, because usually you see maybe one inverted and one stick out wide. I've never seen this kind of both inverted at the same time and both having such an impact on the game. Yeah,
and they're really developing a really good relationship, not just themselves, but with the rest of the team as well. It's just delightful to see. And yeah, hopefully this going forward, this could become one of the great fullback partnerships.
Tottenham tweeting out just a love emoji with Pape Sarr and Richarlison. Look at that love. Look at the love in Richarlison's eyes and Pape Sarr's eyes.
Yeah, Sarr as well. Sarr seems such a lovable person as well. He seems to get on with everyone as well. Absolutely brilliant. Spurs Richarlison some love.
Spurs OTM tweeting out, our captain, and that's Sonny with that big smile doing his celebration yesterday.
The iconic celebration. Big up, Sonny.
Sonny has overtaken Christian Eriksen as having Tottenham's most assists in the Premier League era, which is 83, which is unbelievable. Unbelievable to think.
What a tally.
When Christian Eriksen broke that record for Tottenham, I never thought we'd see anyone break that record in a long, long time. But here we are already. Heung-min Son has broken it.
Yeah, 100%. And he's a player best known for his goal scoring as well.
Luca THFC saying, talk about that on your podcast, Callum Wilson. And that's obviously Cuti Romero's dangerous challenge, which probably no one likes to see, to be honest, yesterday. But look, Callum Wilson and Antonio chatted shit about Richarlison. He found out. Now let's see what Matty Cash has to say when we go to Villa Park in a couple of months' time. Cho saying Sonny versus Newcastle today. 1 goal, 2 assists, 4 key passes, 7 out of 12 ground duels won, 3 out of 5 dribbles completed. Son without Mattis, uncomfortable conversations needed, not fit to be captain. Well, that's put you all back in your boxes, haven't it?
Damn right.
Next up is Chris Sutton saying, really enjoying how naive Ange and Tottenham are today.
Brilliant. Absolutely. Go on, Chris. Take it to him. Take it to him.
Aaron Lennon saying, great win and top performance by Spurs today. Love watching them play these days. You and us both.
He would have done great in this system, I reckon.
I completely agree. Tottenham, we're just pitting out a happy emoji of Destiny, a doggy, on top of the world yesterday. Spurs OTM saying Pedro and Ange, and this is when Pedro did that assist.
Lovely.
Look at that embrace.
I love Ange.
Lovely.
Ange sticking his tongue out as well. Love it.
Premier League panel saying Pedro Porro is having a sensational season. He is rotated in matches between acting as an inverted and traditional right back, and he has been a main source of ball progression for Spurs. He has been most improved defensively. He has handled Doku and Gordon in consecutive matches, and he is, I would say actually, he's been the most improved player in the Premier League this season.
Yeah, you're probably right about that. I can't think of anyone who's improved to the level that he has. It's a good shout.
Jake saying Richarlison's groin surgeon watching this match.
Love that.
Next up is the Spurs Express. Tottenham generated 4.16 XG against Newcastle tonight, the most Newcastle have allowed to an opponent in the Premier League this season. Coming into tonight's fixture, no other side gained more than 3.6 XG in a single fixture against the Magpies this season in the league.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
Actually battered them.
Cho with this season's stepovers for Sonny.
Literally, that's what it's unstoppable.
Tottenham Hotspur tweeting out mood, and I love this celebration yesterday, just the whole team coming together with Basuma jumping on Heung-min Son.
Absolute love.
Nathan Clark saying either Son was a 1v1 specialist that we've all been crying out for all along, or Trippier is absolutely toast.
Yeah, which one is it? I just think Trippier is going through a bit of a period at the moment. So I wouldn't completely say it's because Son is a one-on-one now, a one-on-one demon again. But he was definitely a one-on-one demon on Thursday, that's for sure. More
of the same, please. Spurs OTM saying Vicario loves Sonny. Some more bromance going on. Vicario as well seems to have a bromance.
They always love that double high five, Son and Vicario. They always do it after the game.
Super Sunday from Tottenham Hotspur. Lovely
Sunday.
Picture, that one, with Sonny showing his love to the fans. Spurs Watch saying Heung-min Son versus Trippier. That's obviously the famous Neymar meme that has been going around for years.
And you sit down and pray when Son's up against you.
Yeah. And this was Axel THFC. Richarlison against Gabriel Jesus this year. 13 appearances to 11, 3 goals to 2, 3 assists to 1. Is Richarlison having a better season than Gabriel Jesus this season?
Uncomfortable conversations. You know, I texted my Arsenal sporting friend last night. I was like, I texted him that image, and he said no person in their right mind would pick Jesus over Richarlison. I said, what, the Brazil manager? Didn't text back.
Callum Wilson on Vicario, there's a way to win. We went through that earlier on. Spurs related, saying a quote from Son saying, when you are winning, you enjoy it more. We don't want to make more mistakes like we had in the last couple of weeks. I hope we continue the form like we did today and stay humble. I think we have to be more ruthless like we were today. We were clinical. Beating them 4-1 is not easy, so credit to all the players and the fans. We are playing in the Premier League and you have to demand more and more. It is never enough. This should be a habit for us. We have to do our next game and be strong again. And that's absolutely spot on as well. Like, when you win a game like that, you can't just rest on your laurels and say, oh, look at that performance. You know, you got to put that performance to the back of your mind again. You just got to go again every single week and hope to put in those performances week in, week out, because I can't remember who was saying it, but I was listening to someone talk about it. It might have been Ange, but if you have that performance in your mind going into the next game, and if you rest on it, that's when you come complacent, right? So you just got to put that performance to bed. You celebrate that one night, the next day you're at it at training once again and putting in the effort and putting in the same effort as you have going into that game.
Damn right.
Paul O'Keefe saying Pedro Porro was absolutely outstanding today, along with Sarr. A much more disciplined performance to do until Romero losing his head needlessly. It's a fine line between aggressive, but it needs to be controlled. Stupid stuff. That aside, total dominance from Spurs.
Yeah, and I think that's the last one.
And that is the last. Well, there was one from Vicario, just another one of those the shithousery as well.
Never get bored of seeing that face from Vicario.
And actually, let's look at the Vertonghen tweet as well, saying, "Look like the bottlers are back." Quote tweeting the Arsenal 1-0 against Aston Villa yesterday. So we had to end off on that lovely tweet from Jan Vertonghen. And you know what? I think that was a bit of a response to Mesut Ozil's tweet, because he called Tottenham bottlers after the game last week. So like to see Jan Vertonghen sticking up for Spurs.
I don't think it's the real Jan Vertonghen.
Oh, is it not?
No, it's not the real Jan Vertonghen.
Oh, that's a shame.
But still.
We got done. But anyway, we'll call it the real Jan Vertonghen. But look, that is the way Twitter reacted. A nice long episode for you guys to bite your teeth into. But that brings an end to the stream today. I would like to say thank you all for coming on today. There might be a couple of super chats actually that we can go through just before ending the stream. The Jorical, who we had the pleasure of sitting next to or in front of against Chelsea. A shame he wasn't there for this game, and he was there for the Chelsea game. But he says, we all know that the squad got a huge lift when the word got out that Jory would not be attending the game. Big up, lads, and thanks for everything. No problem, Jory. It was great to see you. Great to have a pint with you as well. It's just a shame that you couldn't make it for this game, but it was good to see you at the game. Dark Sun G saying, I love how we are almost done without our rebuild, unlike the Blues and Manchester United, where they buy players and that don't help their situation. Also overpaid, laughing my ass off. Come on, you Spurs. And it's mad to think about, like, because we're all on rebuilds, right? Us, Man United, Chelsea, Liverpool to a certain extent, but just the recruitment and on the Spurs side of things, not overpaying for players, not spending like the way Man United and Chelsea have spent, and just how much of higher quality it has been. Yeah, and 100%. And we've kind of been smart with our business. We've targeted people who we've scouted really well, and I think when we have spent big money, that's when it's gone wrong. Yeah, it's true. And welcome to Platinum, to Mihai VRL Popescu. I wonder if it's any relation to Gica Popescu, the old Spurs player in the early 90s.
Potentially.
Let us know in the comment section. But look, that brings an end to the stream today. I want to thank you all for joining today. Back to winning ways. But we go again this Friday night against Nottingham Forest. We'll be back tomorrow for a panel show. But thank you everyone today. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always, come on you Spurs.